welcome to another exciting and tonight very special episode of Loss of Lieutenant. This episode 138, the Loss of Lieutenant AMA episode, where we have taken in questions from all of you, our lovely listeners and cocks, and we're going to be answering them live on air tonight. No announcements, no upcoming events, just raw dogging it straight into the questions. Tonight I am joined by my fellow hosts Josh.
Hello.
Jacob.
Yes.
And Tristan.
And Tristan? There's still
And
Nick.
Tristan.
Hello.
Yeah, and Tristan.
Hey, how you going?
And last but not least, our favourite host, Nick.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
Because the rest of us are chumps.
We don't do any work around here. Nick
We
does
don't do
most work.
absolutely... Nick does so much work around here. It's actually insane. So yeah, tonight is the 138th episode. It is the AMA episode. Before we do get straight into that, as a reminder, if you would like to be here while we are recording live, tonight we'll be taking extra questions from our patrons in chat. If they do so desire to show up and ask us some, you can head over to patreon.com/lossoflieutenant and become one of our lovely, lovely cocks. Just the low cost of $3 a month, which is insanely good deal. So the first question tonight for all of us, which three pieces rated in order are the broken profiles that you believe need to be fixed, the absolutely useless profiles that no one ever takes, and the weirdest profiles that don't really make sense? Tristan?
Well, I think the most obvious one is Norkius. Currently in N5, I was like, most obvious one is Norkius.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's raving about him. That has unfortunately had the opposite effect, where since everyone's talking about him, everyone focuses on him, and he actually does worse than he's supposed to do. I don't think I've had a Norkius actually do that much to me, aside from Nyx, who won the game, but that wasn't through killing anything, that was just through pressing buttons. So, I'm going to channel my inner Jacob, and I'm going to travel back to N3. I can see Jordan. Once upon a time,
Fucking Twitch.
once upon a time, Sheshkin had pure link with. Well, there wasn't. Sheshkin could just link with Nox, and she crit on her target number and ones. So she threw 5 dice on 18s, and she crit on 18s and ones. And crits did an auto wound. So it didn't matter that she had a red fury.
Yeah.
I think that would be the closest we could call a broken profile that would need to be fixed.
Alright.
Yeah. That was probably the most broken.
It was very obnoxious.
Yeah. Well, I think with Norkius right now, I'd say almost it's less Norkius. He's just the poster child of it, about super jump with the second move.
Yeah.
And figuring out how that fits into the game and how that balances.
It was just like, but before N5, he had a lot of good things about him, and he was fast. Now he is incredibly fast, and that's just good for him.
Jacob, what's your profile that you think is broken and needs to be fixed?
Yeah, not to repeat, Tristan, I think a lot of the broken profiles exist in CA, so I'm going to say the Caronted Lieutenant +1, Hacking Device Plus. I'm right in saying it's got a plasma rifle, right?
Yep, and an X-Visor.
And an
Sexita.
X-Visor. It's got literally everything, right?
The fact that it has a in case of Ariadne use this template weapon, in case of anything else use this template weapon is just fucking stupid.
And the fact that it gets like the biggest thing is the fact that you can be like, it's my LT, fuck you. I have a template. Why can't I think of it? Marker state.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just it's too good. He either needs to be he has to lose some things, probably at least the Seps that are plus, or it needs to be made more expensive. Whatever.
But it feels like they had this collection, and you could see this with some other models, where the elite models and they have multiple lieutenant profiles, and each one of them has a special trinket that makes them unique from the others. All but one of the little trinkets for the Carontids are on one profile.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Josh?
I'm going to catch a lot of hate for this.
Oh boy.
First question.
But
They're going to switch off right now.
But actually, I think that with the way that nano screen works,
Yep.
I think Achilles is kind of fucked.
Yep. Don't disagree with that.
When he gets added to Onyx Contact Force, he's going to be a thing to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't care about like frenzy. Frenzy's just another order, another activation for him. You know, he gets nano screen, like just means that he gets cover all the time. He's BS 15 with an AP Spitfire. He's I had a chat with Ryan Kirby, who's a well-known, very good player, and he was like, "What the fuck is that profile?" So I think that
Once someone figures it out.
yeah, he only really finds his niche in like limited insertion lists, I think, but he's very strong.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that almost goes for, I'm not going to say all nano screen profiles, but a lot of them are very good.
Yep. I guess I'll go next because it looks like Nick is doing something. I am going to say the Seraph because I think that the Seraph is probably like the best tag they have ever made, and I don't actually know how close it is. It's a BS 15 8/8 moving with jet propulsion tag with a multi HMG or a AP Spitfire with a peripheral. You can make it burst 3 in CC if you so choose. I think it is just an incredibly powerful unit, and the only limiting factor on it currently is it only exists in military orders.
It's also only 74 points for a
It's
multi
only 74
HMG.
points. It is so cheap. But yeah, the only limiting factor on it currently is that it exists exclusively in military orders. If people find the list for it, like the military orders list that supports the Seraph the best, or like military orders as a whole gets like a really quick look over and like some points cost decreases, or God forbid a second Fugazi drone bot, I think you start opening up a real can of worms that becomes a problem. And its name is the fucking Seraph. Yeah, that'd be mine. Nick?
I think you guys have covered most of the big ones. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Was there any N1, N2 mentally fucking put on the table? You just go, fuck, good game, bro, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You want to go back to N1?
I think the Carotid was like that, wasn't he?
No, I would go the Avatar at N1.
Okay.
Because it had a heavy grenade launcher. So it could spec fire to the other side of the board on 9s.
Sure.
That feels like now.
Yeah.
The Squalo spec fire in 24 inches on fucking 9s.
No, the heavy grenade.
In the bad range bands for the grenade launcher.
Okay.
It still had positive range bands that were closer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kev, the Asura bullshit, by that we mean the fact that currently, because it looks like when CB redesigned MSV3, they forgot that the Asura had MSV3 and forgot to add the word BS before attack. So she can currently hack camo markers through a repeater as well. So you can spotlight a camo marker, force it to reveal itself, or because they're not hackable, you can't just Trinity one as a hacker, so that's whatever. Yeah. But the fact that you can force anything out of a camo marker is really, really strong. But right now it doesn't seem like it's being super abused, and like you said, it's something that is very quickly, I think, going to get patched.
People would have to be playing OSS and taking Asura.
I would expect that to be fixed as soon as we get a FAQ.
Unless it is meant to be, unless it's intended, right? Unless for some reason it's intended. God forbid.
I think from what we've learned
the
from
Asura
CB,
should have some cool bullshit.
Yeah, what we've learned from CB is you scroll through the Discord and it's like, no, it's intended. Like if from now on, if a CC weapon doesn't have PS equals this, it's just meant to be that shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, look, for all we know, it could just be like, we wanted to give the Asura some cool bullshit so she can hack camo markers. It's okay, sure.
Maybe it's trying to give like MSV3, like, this just cancels camo. That's what it does.
Yeah, regardless of what you do to it, it doesn't give a shit. Yeah. Okay then, that was cool. What is, in your guys' opinion, an absolutely useless profile that no one ever takes? Tristan?
Nick, go for it.
Okay. Oh, Nick, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll start with Fusiliers because Fenix exist.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That's very true.
Like,
Yep, there we go. We got the Da Vinci Code on that
Yeah.
one,
In
boy.
N4, it was Fusiliers because the Cemento regulars existed. Is that just...
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
weren't
there
there
was
weren't
just-
AVA 5 though.
there is just a better profile that does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I know Fusiliers were linked all the time in N4. Like every panosectoral that could link them, everyone that could link them did actually just link them for
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
Most of the time, the reason you saw regulars is just because they were playing a Consentimento.
Yeah, or specifically fucking vanilla Pano, and they liked the regular hacker with his grenade launcher because I did.
I think
Kristen?
the big feels bad, man, is when you buy a starter box or whatever for a faction that never uses its line troops, and you just have
Hello, Senku troopers.
Senku, fucking Fusiliers can be transposed to Phoenix now, but like you buy vanilla faction like Yujing, you're not taking regular ass line troops,
No.
Yeah.
and you just have those models forever.
Senku would have been my...
Senku are pretty
Senku's a
terrible.
really good one.
Like,
Jacob?
they got shafted so hard.
This one, this model's been bad since it was introduced, and it hasn't gotten better. The Arjuna in Aleph
Red
or
Valley, you
OSS.
say this?
Kev does say tigers are useless. I agree.
Well, they are now, but yeah, the Arjuna is just like this weak toolbox that's can do a bunch of everything, but is kind of not great at necessarily anything. The
Yeah.
attack awareness is kind of nice, and that it can link now is kind of nice. But as we've seen, I think it's armed with Red Fury. It might be with the Spitfire. That's how little I look at the profile.
It's
I
one or
think
the
it's
other.
a
Spitfire.
Spitfire.
Yeah, so it's a Spitfire. It's
yeah.
not so bad, but it's just
It's a walking EMP field.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all it does. Is it just throw like Cybermines are better now because they stun anything. I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't see it being taken any more frequently.
yeah.
So I was actually gonna say tigers, like Kev suggested. I will instead say dazes. I guess that's a profile in Shazvasti, isn't it? Or is that a weapon?
No, that's
something?
a weapon.
That's what
It's
I'm saying,
a
The weapon? What is it
it's a
on?
deployable.
Nox.
It's
It's on a lot of things, but Nox have them.
Yeah, okay.
Nox and Shrouded.
Yeah.
Alright, then I guess I'll say fucking seed soldiers, maybe? Or like,
Yeah.
what are the ones that scan things?
Yeah. Oh,
Cadmus.
Cadmus.
Yeah, Cadmus, there we go.
Nah, bro. Cadmus are great.
Just a whole bunch of...
good.
Just a whole bunch of the fucking... Just a whole bunch of the random fucking Shazvasti units.
We could all just lift 10 Sazvasti units.
Yeah, we
and...
just list like Shazvasti units.
Yeah.
Honestly, like a really weird one, I guess, is like Caliban in Vanilla combined now, because they're a Prothean unit that doesn't have a good CC weapon.
and not
Yeah.
really a definitive purpose anymore that justifies its point cost.
Yeah.
Other than being like a good cock option, sort of.
Yeah. Like, man, now that I think about it, the engineer's not in vanilla anymore.
No, it's not.
No.
Is it MSV Spitfire in vanilla, or is that another Shaz one?
No, it is, but why would you take that when you could take like the extra one that's cheaper and has MSV2 and Mimetism -3
And super
Yeah.
jump.
and Super Jump?
And is significant. It's like 10 points cheaper.
It's
not
so
even,
much cheaper.
It's not even a small bit cheaper.
Or Doc Worm because he's got his marksman turrets.
Yeah,
Doc
there we
Worm's
go.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's in a similar vein, but what about the weirdest profiles that just don't make sense to you, Tristan?
Odalisks.
Yeah?
I'd agree.
They had two separate things of Odalisks, and then they merged them together, and they still don't make sense because they still just run around with SMGs
Yeah.
and like have the most weird suite of CC skills possible. I don't know.
Odalisks, they almost feel like they're trying to become like the point defense model that you add on to a unit, that you add onto a fire team. But they're also supposed to be the core of the little c core of the fire team. But then they're also supposed to mix with other. They don't feel like they know what they want them to be.
Yeah.
Like I've mentioned it before. I would love to see the Odalisks rewritten from scratch, like fluff, scratch, and back to redefine where they fit in. Because the concept of this, like light infantry, point defense, NWI is neat, but like, what does it do?
Yeah.
And they only made them worse by getting rid of the 360 visors on them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if like Nick, you can go back far enough, but odorlesses have been weird and just
Forever?
like it forever. I've never known them to be at ever in a good spot.
Wonderful.
They're really nice models. That's about it.
I think I might get some hate for my suggestion. The IR. It has had more new profiles and more reworks than just about any other unit in the fucking game, and they still don't know what the fuck they want to do with it.
Fuck yourself.
It has
Hang
like
on.
no.
Hang
Yeah.
on. It just won a major tournament.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
2 of them.
A list with 2.
It has no. Like you read all the profiles, like it's the most
good.
like mishmash pile of just random shit.
No.
There's like 2 profiles that people argue about that might be good.
No.
It's
No, there's
just...
one.
Nah.
There's
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it has
See,
an emitter.
I'm seeing it happen like right in front of me. Like, I don't know of another profile that has had more new profiles added to, like, sorry, more new options added to it, and more mini reworks that people still can't agree on if it's actually good or not.
But it is probably has the most hard-hitting sculpts in the game. Like every single IR sculpt
are
slaps.
the nicest proxies in Infinity, essentially.
No, they're good now.
That's big hate. I think that's a wrong take.
I'm completely ready to eat my fucking words on this one from the IR lovers. Now. Fucking Diomedes is already writing a strongly worded response, and I'm ready for it. I love that man dearly, but I'm gonna fucking cop it for this one.
Did they change since the launch of N5?
IRs?
No.
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
No.
Oh fuck!
I got reworked with N5.
We previewed them, but we didn't know emitters would be 16 to 32 and burst 2. So we were like, "That's fucking shit." No, it's not shit. It's really good.
Emitters are great.
Emitters are awesome.
Oh yes.
Josh.
Cube Jaegers.
Oh,
why do they exist?
Yes.
Used to be a really nice model if you needed like a parachuter's paramedic.
Man, I can't wait to Jaeg some cubes.
Hell yeah, brother.
I have almost put a Cube Jaeger into one of my Onyx lists. And then I rejigged it so I had enough points to make it something decent.
They used to have an emitter. Do they still have an emitter?
They do. And that's partly
maybe
why.
they're good now.
I've got an emitter profile, but I think it's what, BS11?
It's the fucking N5 litmus test now. Is that it's got an emitter.
Did a mid profile get an emitter? Oh, is it good now?
Legitimately, Nick, we should write a custom mission where we get free Cube Jaegers. And it's just about Jaeging the cube.
It's just about Jaeging cubes, man.
You just gotta Jaeg as many cubes as possible,
I don't know if
I understand.
Go on.
I understand what they are in the fluff, right? They're like, I understand like what they do in the fluff of the universe. Like they go on, they're contracted to go onto battlefields and recover cubes.
Yeah.
Right. But like, nothing about that profile suggests that they're any good at that.
The only
they have a monofilament CC weapon, so they emit a tag, and they run up to the tag and they monofill the they keep trying to roll a 16 until they hit with their monofilament CC weapon.
The monofilament is the tools to remove the cube.
Yeah.
Oh, is that why it puts things straight to dead?
Well, they're designed to be tools that can dig a cube out of any set of armor.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Jacob, what about you?
I've always found the tank hunters really weird and just not making a lot of sense. They just... I don't know. They don't have...
We can support that fact by the fact Val takes 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
They don't have the weapons to... They don't have a lot of weapons to work from the deployment zone. I know they got the portable autocannon and the missile launcher, but there are things in TAC that just do their job way better.
Yeah, so that's why I think they exist. They exist so you can put a scout at the back of your deployment zone. And go,
Okay.
this could be a missile
So
launcher.
I guess in the fluff, right? I kind of like the idea of it's just a dude covered in leaves and shit, and it's like he just moves, and you see the fucking portable autocannon just like
Yeah.
rise up out of the dirt. Like
It's
that.
one
I
of
vibe
the
with
funnest.
that.
It's one of the funnest Ariadne models.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think more the old one that's really leaning back.
Yeah, he's not
like
just cranking it.
Like he's
It's-
gonna like absolutely get his spine broken as soon as he fires the damn thing.
I think it's one of the only Infinity models that got resculpted, but just to update it slightly. Like,
Nice.
it's basically the
Yes.
same pose as the
yeah, it
original
is.
Tank Hunter model.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when they did that, I loved that. I was like, yes, it's a stupid pose. It's great. Just make him look
I love that they
as a little
recognized
less
it.
derpy. They're just like, this is classic. We just need to make like the edges sharper.
Yeah.
So on the Tank Hunter note, I'll toss this out. What if you gave them the Scotsguard treatment?
What's that?
And
So,
you split them so they had their camo profiles and their not camo profiles, and you could fire team
That'd be fun.
some of the non-camo duos. Because I think that would solve part of their issue.
I-
Like, they're not quite good enough without, but just by themselves. But without the camo, then they're not quite themselves anymore. Yeah. Okay.
That'd be
Sorry.
fun.
Rambling.
The problem.
There's too much firepower for Ariadne.
Yeah, the other thing is that they need to distinguish themselves from the Frontevics.
Oh, true.
I think a portable autocannon's pretty distinctive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Frontevics have got like heavy rocket launchers for fucking nothing and AP sniper rifles.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know. It's just a weird. It's just a weird one.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Who wants to handle the next question?
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Nah.
Go on, Nick. You said first.
What's your take on speedballs? Love them, hate them? Do they need to be fixed ASAP?
I guess I'll go first because no one else started talking before me. Fuck you guys. I think they're fine. There was a lot of concern at the start of the edition that it was sort of going to like run the game basically. Watching CanCon, it didn't really seem like it was an enormous problem. I like it as a way to sort of cheat on having an engineer. If you have like a lieutenant that's very vulnerable to hacking, being able to sort of like have a dude within 4 inches of her, because I'm thinking of Jean, obviously, who can pick up the speedball and then fucking like stick the needle in her fucking neck to fix her. I think that's cool. I personally wouldn't let the person going first use it on the first turn. That's sort of like the only concern I still have about it, and I think it would probably be a good way to actually cement it as a like comeback mechanic, where it's like you can't use it as part of an alpha strike. You sort of have to wait that turn, and it's another reason to sort of let going second be good, right? Like you go second, you get access to speedball first. So that's my take.
Yeah,
I initially had concerns about like using it top of one, and I'm not really that worried about that anymore because in all the games I've played, CanCon, the greater Melbourne meta, it seems to be settling into a really good place where most people are taking it, but not always. Most times it's used reactively, but not always. Sometimes it's used proactively. And while the first couple games, everyone was just like, top of one, drop them down. I rarely see that right now. So I think it's settled into a place where it is that comeback mechanic of, ooh, they just shot down my engineer, so I need to drop in a repair kit. The only thing I see with it, it still needs clarification on how it acts with combat jump modifiers.
Yes.
Because
Just
right
like
now,
a clear
I think the consensus is
no, it doesn't, right?
Yeah, right now the consensus seems to be that because it's not a trooper, then it doesn't apply. But if it's not a trooper, then it technically can't use the combat jump rules. So, I'd love to see that clarified because being able to mod that with Evo hackers sounds really cool.
Yeah, I feel like all they really need to do is just give it the some extra wording and just give it the AI beacon rule and done.
Doesn't exist anymore, does it?
Oh,
No.
doesn't it?
Yeah, no.
They got veteran
We're like
instead.
2 editions removed from N3.
No, but just
Get
like
with the times, old
whatever.
man.
Yeah.
I will jump in here. I agree with both points. I think that they are more often used, or they're more often more effectively used, less to shore up to like reaffirm a faction's strengths and more shore up a faction's weaknesses. So when you think of them that way, I find myself using like the jetpack heaps. Very rarely do I use like the extra armor or anything like that. But I've been like going, oh, I'm not paying 15 points for Shinobu, 15 extra points for Shinobu. I'm going to spend 15 points less, pay 30 points for a Oniwa band, and then just give him a jetpack. And that's basically climbing class, to get to that one thing that I need to kill.
It's the most extraneous, like, build your own Shinobu I've ever heard in my
how
life.
good is it, right? I think my main gripe with them is that I would think that it needs it's an unnecessary tax on going second. So going second, you already spend 1 command token to either remove orders or put in suppression. So that means person who's going first has got a command token, like it has got 3 command tokens available, unless they're bringing an extra command token or whatever, to do whatever they want to do in first turn. And now second player, despite being the one that's going to get like absolutely reamed by first turn, they have 2 command tokens left to like repair things or heal things, coordinated order, whatever. So I think it should be free for the second player. That's how I would fix it.
Or you go second, you get an extra command token.
Yeah,
That's interesting, actually.
That's a fair point of it being more taxing on the second player.
Yeah, it's a deliberate. Like, I mean, going second is already difficult.
Depending on the mission.
It feels like that. It feels like a card game system where second player, like first player doesn't draw, but second player does draw.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I agree with all points. I think that the initial reaction was that people don't like inherent reliability in Infinity because it seems a bit strong in certain situations, like win more. If I was going to change anything, I'd do what Jordan did and make it from second turn onwards, or I would make it so that the Vita Pack and auto repair have to be used on someone else, not just yourself.
Yeah,
because it's basically still a free doctor roll.
It's not even a roll; it's just a free success, right?
Yeah, it's a free success. Yeah, I haven't experienced a situation where it's absolutely been destructive. But I feel like the more we play, the more people will practice with it and get better with it, because it's a mechanic a lot of people forget until it's a little bit too late, because something gets knocked unconscious and they've gone, oh, I should have speedballed there, fuck.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, sort of, I think one thing, the reason that we're seeing sort of less in first turn is that the proliferation of non-lethal AROs, because AROs fire-teamed AROs are slightly less effective because you're only ever doing 1 burst. Even though you're rolling 2 dice, you're only ever doing 1 burst with the fire-team ARO. Unless you've got a Neuros X Black Air, blah, 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 blah. Putting up, say, an emitter is just a great way to stop an attack run.
Yep.
Putting up a flash pulse, great way to stop. Sure, they can use switch on for the emitter, but they can't for the flash pulse.
That I believe it will block stun as well.
No.
Does it unlock stun? No, I don't think it does. No,
it doesn't block stun or possessed.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I'll have to check that. But I think my point stands that, like, I see and that sort of piggybacks on your point about it being more reactive or people using it more reactively. In that, I've taken a wound. I just need to quickly, I've taken a wound on a bad face to face. I just need to drop a Vitapack now, on my, whatever Alpha Strike piece is, 2 wound obviously, or no Indian cap or something. So yeah, I think that the non-lethal arrows are probably making it a little bit less effective than what people are. But I think that emitter arrows are great. I've just
Especially hidden
putting
deploy
them up
emitter arrows.
Oh, like what? Like a profile that doesn't ever get taken,
Like
according to Jordan?
a 40.2 wound HI specialist that shouldn't be used in arrow, but just is funny.
You're just making. I'm just listening to this, and it's like the most cope thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, guys, it's like the world's worst Noctifer.
Yeah, I mean Noctifer's already pretty bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Switch on does work on stun, so I'm wrong.
Does it?
Cool.
But it does, yeah.
So I've found that Speedball has changed how I play. Not for myself, but I have to now play assuming that my opponent will drop the correct Speedball.
Well,
So
they're at least
for
going to do that
instance-
once.
no, so I had a game yesterday into a record, and I put the record unconscious and had killed its engineer because someone was too close and splash damage.
Yeah.
But I then spent like 3 orders suiciding a Dotarazi into it to
Right.
get it to unconscious 2.
Oh, right.
Because at unconscious 2, he can't speedball it back.
Yeah.
It'll just speedball it back to unconscious 1.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that there's debate about whether that's
Because if
that's
that
the case.
isn't it just a free engineer roll? Because if that's the case,
It does
wouldn't
say if applicable, this will cancel their unconscious state. in this
Right,
case.
so- Which, to me, says if you reach, similar to the Vitapack, if you reach 0, or if you now have positive wounds, you're unconscious, or you're conscious again.
Wait, so you
Whereas
knocked
the
it
engineer and
unconscious and then threw a Datarati at it?
to get
Yeah.
it to unconscious 2.
Why didn't
So
you just
within-
why didn't you just coup de grace it then if it was unconscious?
Should-
Because I had to berserk to get there.
It doesn't matter. Coup de grace, that you would have coup de grace it.
Yeah.
Coup de grace is just declare a CC attack on an unconscious model.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you could berserk coup. Okay,
Yeah.
Berserk is great.
okay, stuff.
There we go. Problem
Yeah.
solved.
But yeah, that's a really good point of like
Mhm.
you can no
Right,
longer just sort of
yeah.
ask them, do you have a doctor, do you have an engineer? Nope. Okay, cool, it doesn't matter. You now actually have to
right.
like, oh,
Yes.
I knocked their important piece unconscious.
Yeah.
Fucking double tap it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you just
Yeah.
speed up the game and don't let them request speedball.
Yeah, that. There we go.
Yeah, coup de grace is a point inside CC attack when declaring a
Okay.
CC attack on an
So
unconscious model.
it's not
Get
its
rid of
own
it.
skill anymore.
No.
Okay.
Who wants to handle the next question?
All right. What does CB think is wanting from reinforcements? And how do you think the players view them? Do you think there is a future where reinforcements is a valid option? And if so, what changes need to be made?
Okay, I'll probably start this one. No. I think reinforcements is incompatible with a 3-turn structure of Infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is not enough game time to drop more troops in that is not inherently imbalanced between the players.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I said. Is like it's just hard to capitalize on a 3rd turn drop of 100 points.
Especially if you've already had your last turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to just be something else, something different.
It almost
needs
could
to-
be like a rework of the reserve troop. So with reinforcements, your reserves could be 100 points. I don't know.
I mean, even if your reinforcements were the reserve trooper, like when you hold back a model in deployment, it actually just comes in turn 2 instead. and like Strategos lets you hold 2. That would be kind of neat, I think. But like I think that would just be adding reinforcements however you want it directly into the game. I think they should just give up the ghost, put all the reinforcement profiles into their respective armies, make them part of it.
And just get it over with. Because there's no point holding back a few things that are being held back right now. I think it's just like that one random Azrael profile that people actually kind of want.
The heavy shotgun Azrael.
Like, the heavy shotgun one.
I think that's the main one, because most of the other ones, it's modifiers like they lose their camo state because it's a reinforcement, you see it come in, that type of stuff. But a lot of it they did move in, but there are some there are some ones that are still hanging on.
There's some
in JSA specifically, I'd take the Sohei, which is a 16-point like CC specialist with like Pulsar +1 burst and stuff like that. But like a reasonable one that you can run up the board.
Yeah, I seriously don't know why with like they the OSS reinforcements, the Yujing reinforcements, all of those have been really nicely integrated to their armies. I don't know why they did what they've done with the JSA ones where they just like in the army, no links. Like they feel like they should fit in somewhere, they just don't.
Oh, they'd be so good in link. If they were linked, they'd be so much better.
But those like almost warbandy ones, yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to be very boring here and agree that reinforcements I've never seen something for like Infinity flop as hard as reinforcements flopped, where like saw people play like a couple of games of it and then go, I think I'd rather just play 300 points of regular old Infinity instead of this. If they could figure out a way to where you can sort of opt into playing either reinforcements or 300-point Infinity against each other and it would work and would be fair, that would be cool. I'd be into that. Like, if you just give someone the option, then okay. But I think as it stands now, reinforcements as its own game mode just doesn't work because there's not a compelling enough reason to want to play it over 300-point standard Infinity.
It just had a really bad taste in the mouth with the whole comm link, and it's like 20 points and half a swick to get this guy, and it doesn't matter if he dies. Like, it seemed like there was actually no point except like some weird fluffy lore reason that you had to have a dude with a big fat radio on his back that cost extra points.
Yeah,
and it's fucking like, Swick.
And Swick.
And it's just like you if you're going into a tournament, you're gonna know you're having reinforcements. So there's no point in having that model. At the very least, costing like Swick and costing so much more because it's just like I have to take reinforcements for this tournament. I can't just not.
Even
it's the whole point of it.
In certain armies, it was a slot. Like, I don't want to take a plain ass Kappa that's doing nothing. He's just taking a slot. I want a Varangian, but this Kappa costs 20 points.
And the worst part is you couldn't even just make it like link filler because when you brought down reinforcements, you moved it into the reinforcements group.
I think you could. You could.
Oh, you could? Oh, okay, I thought it was you.
It was optional.
Okay.
Nah, you could for free.
I hate it still. Yeah. That's dumb. I hate fucking comments are so dumb.
From my understanding, it's comes off of a concept they had in N1, I believe, that they never really fleshed out. And at that time, the game was not a 3-turn game. It was still it was prior to having like an ITS system and really concrete missions. And in a game that was 4 or 5 turns, reinforcements would be great.
Yeah.
But Infinity has gone a different direction and it's a 3-turn game. It works beautifully as a 3-turn game.
Yeah. I mean, you see it in 40k as a 5-turn game. Deep Strike is a thing and people love it. It's a great rule.
Yeah, holding off on like a big massive Death Star unit makes sense in 40k because the critical point in a game of Warhammer can be like third turn, 4th turn. Right, Infinity, it's important to get going at the very beginning. There's no slow error. It's like time.
Go.
It's first turn, something has to happen, otherwise you're on the back foot.
Well, it all just comes down to like the system being multiple activation based.
Yeah. So
I guess it
just needs to be something different. And reinforcements just has to be, I don't know, like bringing points in from a certain point gradually throughout the game if you're like getting fucked or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
I guess-
like a model speedball or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Speedball does a better job at that feeling
Yeah,
of
it just-
calling in extra help than Reinforcements does.
I think Nick just said it the most succinctly, where it just doesn't work fundamentally with a 3-turn structure, and I think that's a great sort of place to leave it, most likely. Who wants to handle the next question?
Okay.
A much quicker question.
Is casual infinity possible?
Nick, is it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Try some narrative scenarios, or just try some scenarios and like play in a more narrative mindset. Talk about how give the troopers personalities, give it a story, and work with your opponent to tell that story. And if that involves fudging a few rules because it sounds cooler, go for it.
You can play Beer Hammer with any game you so desire. Casual. If you have come into it with a casual mindset, you'll have a casual game and it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, something that's I don't know if it's like a Melbourne thing, but or Australian thing. The little like side objective competition things that have been going on now in our competitions, where it's like, the
bingo,
the bingo,
the bingo shit like that is great because it means you've got something else to focus on. But honestly, like, just if you want to have a casual game, you just have to go into it with a casual attitude, right? So it's not going to work if like you're playing someone who's like super tournament minded. But if you want to have a casual game, you just be like, I'm having a casual game. Yeah, but Jordan, you can sit back and relax. You don't have to be tournament centric.
No, it is actually hard to switch it off. Like I genuinely do just sort of tend to play every game like I'm practicing for a tournament.
Yeah.
And it is genuinely hard to switch off.
He's like Stockfish trying to downgrade himself to 1,000 rating. He's like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I've got to make them the 8th most optimal move here.
I'm also not I'm not the worst for it. I have legitimately watched fucking Josh next to me in a casual game of someone's first game back of Infinity in ages, where they mismoved a model in front of a silhouette that they didn't know was there. It turned out it was a beast hunter that then killed the key piece of their army.
I'm like, oh, that sucks, man.
Yeah,
all right.
That sucks, man. And then after the game, I remember being like, is there any reason why you didn't just kind of roll that one back? And Josh was like, oh yeah, I probably should have done that, hey.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm horrible at it. I am actually currently playing in a casual league online of Mercenaries, which is kind of like a Infinity Mordheim. Which is super fun and super casual. And it's basically designed to make the most broken troopers possible. So, like all of that is like there's loads of way you can engage with Infinity.
Wait, so you're playing like RPG-ish?
Yeah, you have to name all your people you have in a mercenary.
So
basically you've made your own mercenary company.
Old that's like cool. Human Sphere Paradiso rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except everyone, not just the spec ops, is the it gets benefit from like experience and perks and stuff. It's really cool. It's really fun.
That's cool.
Kristen?
Well, we are quite known for running 400 point limit insertion. I know we for those people who don't know what limit insertion is, because apparently it's not written in the book. 1 combat group 10 models. We were considering doing 0 SWIC tournaments until Kev said that was stupid.
It was not stupid. It was a great idea.
He said, Josh and I were sitting at the cafe, and Kev went, "That's fucking stupid." And we went,
"Yeah, Kev was the
Kev just said it wasn't for him, and he
one.
wouldn't play in it." And so,
sorry, Kev.
Kev was an enormous party pooper. That was a great idea, and I have written multiple lists because I thought it was dope.
And we have a certain Sydney personality who wants to come down to Melbourne and run a doubles tournament.
I like the idea
forward
of
to
that tournament.
That's
really
interesting.
In Melbourne, but okay,
because all the players are in Melbourne.
Goodness, why don't grow your own community?
Melbourne has a very large community, and people like to take advantage of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
A resounding yes on all fronts.
Yes.
It sounds like.
Yeah. So what
I
other
guess.
war games do we play?
Or is it just games in general, isn't it? Well, the
Uh,
games, if any.
I think it's
or is-
games in general, but I think we all answered just war games. But feel free
Eh.
to, yeah. What other games if any, do you play?
Interested?
I used to play 40k, but it was too hard because the rules kept changing every second game I played.
Yep.
Apart from that, I play a little bit of chess. That's about it. My life for infinity.
Yeah, no, I play a little bit of Age of Sigma, which I really enjoy, and I am hoping to one day play a bit more 40k.
Nice. Nick?
As far as war games, it's just Infinity right now. I usually don't do terribly well multitasking war games. But that said, Trench Crusade looks kind of interesting, and I think it might hit that like wartime nostalgia, and be kind of a like beer and pretzels off to the side thing.
Nice.
I mean, I know it's far for you, Nick, but there's a lot of people apparently just started playing it at House of War. When we were there last, there was like
Okay.
4 games of it going.
There's a few. Infinity was my first war game, and it remains my only war game. I did try and get into A Song of Ice and Fire, but once again, I found that I wasn't getting that many games in, and the rules kept updating, and I couldn't keep up with the meta, and it's really difficult to engage with what was good.
It's always an ode to Infinity. So the way they put the rules together, because we've just had 2 complaints about rules always changing, is that it's all universal. So
in the app.
Yeah, it's in the app, but also like all the skills are universal. So you don't have a different book for Aleph that has Aleph specific skills, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right,
and it's just and it's renames of the same thing. Like in 40k, everything has its own unique name for what Deep Strike is, and it's like you don't need that.
No.
Yeah, it's just like you got 3 rules that all boil down to feel no pain.
Yeah.
I'd rather. I've got the Silver Bayonet book that I'd really like to give that a crack. It's like a Mordheimy kind of thing where you play like sort of Napoleonic era people, and you're fighting against like werewolves and stuff like that. I would really like to give that a crack. But otherwise, no, I haven't. I would love to play some Mordheim as well. I think it's difficult to sort of organize big leagues of things, and when we've got it seems to be got it every other weekend in Melbourne for Infinity, it's hard to fit in anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of and I play a lot of Magic the Gathering, but
yeah. 40. I played a little bit of 40. I played 40k before I played Infinity for like 2 years. Now Infinity is the only game I played. Tried to multitask, it didn't really work. I guess I'll say some video games. I've been playing several playthroughs of the Mass Effect series recently, and that's been really fun to revisit because the Legendary Edition is dope and is frequently on sale for like $10. If anyone is interested in that, I very much recommend Mass Effect. And Baldur's Gate 3 just dropped into my Steam library, so that's something that I'm going to have to tackle at my own speed very slowly, most likely.
Wait until the next patch comes out.
Wait until the next patch comes out? Okay.
Yeah. No, I've been actually playing a lot of No Man's Sky. If we're going to talk about
Hell yeah.
Great.
One of the greatest like rags to riches.
Comebacks.
In recent gaming history.
Never have I heard a community shift so hard on a game from like bad to good in my life.
So I started uni in 2016 at a games university, and No Man's Sky was coming out that May, and I started in Feb. So throughout the class, we're all watching No Man's Sky, and we're just like, "This is fucking shit." And my teacher's like, "This is impossible. They cannot pull this shit off." And then it released, and we went, "Oh,
we were right."
And then by the end of uni, we're like, "Oh, it's kind of had its comeback."
Yeah, it figured itself out. Hell yeah. What are you guys currently reading, and what book recommendations do you have?
I believe
just
Tristan and I have
just
the same.
greatest classic pro-anarchist literature ever written.
The Conquest of Bread.
Hell yeah!
We've got a little Infinity Victoria book club going.
Yeah,
Where we talk about a particular book for at a
tournament.
yeah. So we in between tournaments we read a book and then we have a chat about it. The next one we've got currently is The Conquest of Bread, which is like just instead a sort of pro anarchist manifesto.
It's something.
And I think the next one is The Art of War, just to get people into it.
Into the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. I just finished Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson.
Ooh, nice. Was it good? I've heard mixed things about it.
The mixed things are justified.
Okay.
It's a pretty significant change in style of writing, especially just style of his exposition and dialogue. But he wrote it quite quickly, and it's that sort of shows a little bit. But I mean, the story is great. But I think the writing it takes a little bit of a dive from the fact that it's so much longer than his other ones. So there you go.
Yeah, I like the other two. I've been reading The Conquest of Bread. I've been listening to it because I got it as an audiobook. If you want, and I've been sort of balancing that out with a bit of literary junk food, so I've also been reading Jack Reacher, because you don't need to think when you're reading it. You just sort of need to it's just good. There's no complexity. It's just a really big man whose pecs are so tough that they can stop a bullet. That actually happens in one of the books.
I remember you telling me that.
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck?
And if you want a recommendation, I always recommend The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher to people. I think it's probably my favorite series of books. The first one is very rough because he wrote it in college. So I sometimes recommend people start with Deadbeat, which I think is the 6th or the 7th book in the series. And I actually got my friend Geelong Josh to do that, and he fucking loves the series now. So yeah, recommend The Dresden Files if you like urban fantasy, like magic in modern day Chicago type setting. It's really good. I love it. Nick?
I guess for recommendations, I know the Netflix came out not too long ago. Three Body Problem series, not just the trilogy, but the fourth book as well.
Okay.
The fourth book really it's an unusual story behind it in that it started off as like a set of like fanfic short stories, and the author saw them, and their response was to refer them to their publisher and editor.
Oh wow!
And so it's the fourth book is written by, it's basically fanfic that got made canon and
so cool.
like fully published under the same editor and publisher.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah. I love that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's got.
I second that recommendation.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of the fourth book, because it basically picks up where so through the three books there are characters who kind of fall off to the side because the story goes elsewhere. It picks up some of their adventures, nice. And one of them, basically, I'm trying to say, a guy is basically apotheosed to be a soldier of a universal entity, and he refuses.
So Silver
Surfer sounds like fate.
Yeah. And so he lives his life out, and he dies, and then immediately wakes back up in his young body with the entity there, going, "Okay, ready now? Like, we're fighting a war on millions of years. What's 100? Sure. Let you live your life out. Good. You're done. Now let's go."
Yeah.
And just the suddenly going and that like scope change was really neat.
Sounds like the life of a dreadnought in
Yeah.
Warhammer.
Yeah.
Or death of a dreadnought, really.
Yeah. Jacob?
I'm a big fat nerd, and I actually kind of like Warhammer books.
There's good. No, it's not being.
Oh.
There's good stuff in there. There's a lot of good stuff.
I was
in
gonna
there.
I was gonna say if you've never read one and you like the only problem I've come to realize is you do kind of need to know Warhammer before you read a Warhammer book, because I realized when I was reading the Caiaphas Cain series that if someone says he fired a bolter and you know nothing about Warhammer, you have no idea what he's
No,
shooting.
I think you could I actually disagree. I think you could just straight up read Caiaphas Cain. It's
Oh
also
no,
it's also junk food.
It was a thought I had while reading that book. It's got nothing to do with Caiaphas Cain.
Like it teaches you nothing about. You do not read Caiaphas Cain and then go, oh, this is what 40k is. It's like, no, this is like the happiest that it gets in 40k.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to read about a dude who gets laid constantly by every single woman he meets in the Warhammer universe, Caiaphas Cain's great. Like
He's
someone
fantastic.
said, it's awesome. But no, if you want to read like good Warhammer books, anything by Aaron Dembski Bowden, I think
yes.
I've read him. Hell's Reach, Emperor's Gift. I've got all of the Soul Hunters. I just
Yeah,
haven't
the
read them yet.
Night Lords trilogy is so good.
Night Lords
All
one.
of his Horus Heresy and Siege of Terror books are all my favorites.
A lot of the one-off character books are actually pretty fucking good. If you can get your hands on Valkyria the Bloody, that's actually a really good book. If you can get your hands on even rarer, the two Archaon books, so Archaon the Everchosen and Lord of Chaos. I liked Archaon before I read them, and those books make me feel like he's one of the better villains in just like fantasy, sci-fi, whatever, like in general.
I'll start a fight. This might actually not start a fight anymore. Fucking Aaron Dembski Bowden is the best writer for the Black Library. Dan Abnett can fuck off.
Oh no,
Maybe Carrier can go chill in the corner. Yeah.
No, I am. That's Matt. What's
No,
his face?
that's
whoever he is, he can go sit in the corner.
No, yeah, Dan Abnett is like the Black Library writer and has been for a while. And I think I can't remember. I feel like I disliked him for a while, and I feel like it's maybe started to turn, and everyone sort of started disliking him.
Dan Abnett was one of the
podcast.
Dan Abnett was one of the writers who helped start the Black Library.
Yes,
and put the name behind it and the solid books in there to start its momentum. And then that's opened it up for many other new authors to come in and make their mark.
Yep.
But I'm hoping to get into finishing off the Dune trilogy, because I know I have a whole bunch of theories that get completely disproven later.
The Dune trilogy? I think you mean
did I say
anthology.
Trilogy? Yeah. So I've got all the books.
It's the first 6 you need to read, and then the ones after that are just.
Yeah, I think I'm missing God Emperor.
Oh, okay.
Read the first one.
I read the first one and I was good after that.
You need.
That's fair enough.
And also, if you just read Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Do you know? Funny thing about
that's another good trilogy.
Funny thing about Dune is it only got a sequel because people didn't understand that Paul in the first book is not a good guy. And he went, no, he's not a good guy. He's a shit fucking guy.
He keeps talking about all the people he's gonna fucking genocide, even though he doesn't want to.
No, he's not an anti-hero. He's just fucking bad.
He's just not good.
That's the reason why I want to finish reading the Dune series, because at the end of the third book, technically he makes the right choice, but I know later on he doesn't.
He doesn't make the right choice.
No,
I know later on all my theories that I have from the first book are just wrong, so I have to get.
Let's just say Paul is not the main character of Dune.
No.
Who would like to handle the next one?
What is your greatest indulgence / a luxury you're currently enjoying outside of miniatures? Nick.
Oh. Some computer games, projects in the house.
Laser cutter, Nick.
The laser cutter. Building a terrain table from scratch. I don't know. That's kind of Infinity.
That's Infinity adjacent.
Yeah.
Miniature adjacent, I guess. Tristan.
Infinity sucks all my money up anyway.
You're not sponsored by Monster yet, are
No.
you?
Oh, sad.
Poor guy.
Jacob, you look like you're ready to answer this one.
Yeah. Well, talking about having no money, good free games come out of China. So I've been playing Delta Force, which is like a Call of Duty
It's a
shooter
Tarkov,
thing.
It's a Tarkov ripoff, isn't it?
That's part of it. I've just been playing the like Battlefield
Oh yeah.
part of it because I've been itching for a game that's just let me customize my guns and shoot people.
Yep.
And then I got Stalker 2 because I wanted to be thoroughly confused in a game that's technically kind of poorly made, but also kind of fun
like
at the
most of
same
your time
time.
thoroughly confused? It's like I played Infinity against this man. That sounds like a
Confusion
accurate
ensues.
description.
Live abuse.
No, there's a couple of things in because I'm not keen enough to have to read the subtitles 100% of the time. I've got it in English, but there are some parts that don't translate. There's a puzzle in the game that I think is mistranslated from Ukrainian to
Oh, nice.
English. So like I've been reading online because I'm trying to figure it out, and they're like, yeah, it doesn't work, and I'm like, oh great,
Wonderful. Josh.
Jordan. Oh, me?
Yeah, you
Been doing a bit of horse riding.
I wonder what's influenced that.
Bit of computer gaming, like I said, No Man's Sky. I am holding off on spending $120 on Civilization 7, even though I know I'll get $120 worth of time out of it.
Yeah.
Only because
Quick
if
game
I
of
do buy Civ 7, I will probably be found at some point in the next 2 months as a withered husk in front of a computer on turn 1000 and something of some random game. So yeah.
I bought a car last year. That was a lot of money. It's the most money I think I've ever spent on one individual thing. Other than that, some computer games. I buy a lot of manga and light novels and books. So I have a giant bookshelf that you see behind me that's absolutely full of stuff. Other than that, not a huge amount. I tend to save a fair bit of the money that I earn.
196s? Is that what they're called?
I don't know, because ever since I got my license, the drinking that I did do just dried up entirely.
It's good.
I think CanCon was actually the first time I've had a drink since I got my license.
Cool. Nice.
I already have plenty of unhealthy habits already. I don't need to add being a problem drinker as well.
Okay.
Christian.
So, is it
Is it
better
that-
to be
what?
clever or kind?
Always kind.
Yep, kind.
Always be kind.
I mean,
Yep.
if you have to choose between the two, yeah, kind.
Yes. Kind first, clever where it fits in.
Yeah. I mean,
That doesn't sound very convincing, Josh.
Josh?
be yourself, and if
that's not
unless
kind, then don't
unless
be
you can be
yourself.
Batman, then be Batman. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, be kind.
Yeah, always be kind. Does anyone have a particular story about any of your HVTs? Jacob?
Yeah, so long time ago, Jacob found on a Ukrainian site that makes their own bottles, admittedly, like a sweet Slav squatting like Gopnik dude. It's supposed to be Soldier 76 from Overwatch, but it hardly looks like him. And I was getting into TAC at the time, and I was like, this will be a great Colonel, whatever his name is,
Veronin
and slash HVT. So it's a dude squatting down with an AK in one hand and a bottle of vodka in the other, and a little beret hat on, and he's supposed to be. It's essentially what's that movie with the Ghostbuster dude in it? Is it Stripes?
You've lost us here, man.
It is Stripes. It is Stripes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Stripes. It's pretty much the idea of the story is he's just like like a Gopnik drunk that leads a bunch of other Gopnik drunks and does very well for some reason.
Okay. I guess the only one I have is one of my HVTs is the only War Machine model that I don't regret buying. It's a powder monkey. He makes a great HVT because he's basically exactly S2 in size. It's really close. He's sitting on his barrel. And he was also the test model for my combined army scheme as a whole. So
That's cool.
yeah, so he was the test model for an entire scheme, and he came out looking great. So
I forget my HVTs half the time, so they don't get stories.
okay, Josh.
Same. The closer they get to a story is if someone puts their HVT right next to mine and they say they're on a date.
Now, Kith.
I've got two Go-Go Marlenes that I really want to turn into impersonation markers. One just Go-Go and then one with Go-Go with a sword. So that'll be eventually a HVT story. Because I'm play JSA. There ain't no impersonators in JSA. There you go.
Nick.
No HVT stories, sorry.
He's far too technical and analytical for that. It doesn't perform a function on the game table. It gets nothing.
It gets a nice paint job.
There you go.
Thanks.
Who would like to read this one out?
Come on, Jake. You haven't read any questions.
Yeah, Jacob.
You guys are all too quick for me.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah.
What's an aspect of the lore you want to be better explored this edition? Do you read the lore? The 40k universe is big enough to potentially include whatever you want in your army. In my opinion, Affinity has less space for this. Do you agree? Is that good or bad for the game on whatever axis? Do you have headcanon about your troopers or your armies?
That's a fair number of questions.
That's a lot of questions in one.
I guess,
it's as far as exploring the lore, I think, but I think if CB wants to start doing that more, they need to look at just not exploring characters that are necessarily on the tabletop. Like, they can make characters that don't have to suddenly get a tie-in model, right? There are plenty of Warhammer books about
characters that don't
characters
have anything
that you'll never see, and there's some about them that you do.
It's like the entire Soul Hunter trilogy. None of those characters have a model.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, they're just a story.
Yep. Absolutely.
That or there are some real interesting little tidbits that they used to have on the web. So the website used to have little stories about some of the models, depending on which ones it is. Things like we know vaguely about Fiddler, just hyper focus on not Fiddler's crew, just Fiddler and what she's doing, going around turning herself into a monkey, or Avicina, coming onto Haq Islam and then getting Aleph, the Aleph control turned off and then turned into a female and that sort of stuff. They just need to really focus. I kind of liked Outrage. I liked the sort of focus they had on Kurnow and him getting cloned and all that sort of thing, because it was they killed off all but two characters very quickly.
Yeah,
and then it was nicely focused on just two, Emily and Kurnow.
Yeah, I'll speed run through this super quickly. For me, I don't really care that much. I don't sort of read the lore, so I hope CB explore whatever it is they particularly enjoy exploring, and I hope it leads to cool stuff for the game itself. I think that the 40k universe is big enough to include lots of things, because headcanoning for 40k is super important in terms of your own chapter and stuff. I think it's less important for Infinity, where you have very defined sectorals and stuff. The only headcanon I have currently, because I'm playing Pano, is because I'm a hopeless fucking Fate nerd. I call Joan Jawn because Fate, and that's about it. And it annoys some people.
I'd definitely like to see more fiction set in the Infinity setting, because right now a lot of the fluff are 1 page or less news articles, and I'd like to see more full novel or that worked out, because there's a lot of good stuff you could explore, both the traditional sci-fi stories, but I'd also like to see some of the more unique to the Infinity universe stuff explored. I'd like to see some stories looking at the psychological impacts of resurrection. I'm thinking like Dakash and the Fides would be great subjects for this, because they're both like in the situation where they know they are being sent in to die and then being resurrected at a earlier point.
Yeah,
And
they just
how does that affect them knowing like they existed but don't remember what they did? And how many times are they being sent in on suicide missions that they aren't being told are suicide missions?
Yeah,
Well, I guess
okay.
it's like it's how do cubes get backed up? I think is sort of the way that like is it like altered carbon? If they have a backup, they like they get backed up every say 48 hours, and you just go from that, or is it like the poor people from altered carbon where they actually physically have to get their cube ripped out of their body in order to be recovered? So are they actually being resurrected from before, or are they just getting shot in the head, or they remember getting shot in the head, and like their cube records that, and so when they get resurrected, they've got all those memories again.
It's
so
both.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's both. Yeah,
because it's like the
I know
cube
that Alan.
The cube 1 is that,
I
cube 2 is the upload one.
Yeah. I think cube 2 is the constant link, and cube 1 is either sync points or recovered.
Yeah. I think Algebel and Fides don't have cubes though.
Yes,
they're just copies of a cube on storage.
Correct. They don't have internal cubes. They get copied to an external cube before their missions.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So they can't be separarized.
That might be
might
be explored in the new hack the new
TV
cartoon.
show.
So the animation.
That would be nice.
And I think there's also just this. There is a lot of set events in Infinity that they could go back to. I'd like to see one about the failure of the Ariadne ships that went through the first wormhole, because there's things like the Antipode War that they had, right? Just like them actually settling on Dawn. Like there's plenty of that stuff of like you could have focus on one dude, like almost you could almost do like it'd be interesting if you did like a Caledonia Wolver and just go like back and forth on like their family tree of like this was my great grandfather who was part of the failed thing. This is the guy in part of the war, and I'm the product of my mom getting bitten by an antipode when I was pregnant.
Sure.
She was pregnant.
I like to sometimes like especially for things like Torn is like Arc. I like to have a little bit of headcanon for like armies if I'm painting them up in different colors and things like that to like the rest of my stuff. The problem is it's hard to ascribe. For me, it's very difficult to ascribe my own canon onto characters. That kind of exist already. If so there's a part of me that's like, I really liked Torchlight because I was running basically 15 troopers without any characters in it, but JSA I'm running a lot of characters, so it's really hard for me to sort of go, like I'm gonna, Yojimbo's basically just Mifune. Right, and that's who he is, right? And so it's hard. It's hard for me to do it, but I like to, and I should write. I know that Hector writes like loads of stuff for like all of his armies and stuff, and I think it would help me engage with them a little bit more. But we'll have a look. I'll have a look into doing it. I think it's a good pet project.
I like coming up with reasons for the basing that I use, and that helps me center myself on an army of like, why am I basing them like this? Well, they're doing this. It's like, okay, cool. I've got a link to them now, and that's from there.
That's been my plan for like my not this year's arc, but next year's arc. Like the basing is what has cemented why like how I'm doing things. So I gel with that definitely.
Good to move to the next one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a pet paint that finds its way into every project? I can answer this very, very quickly. Because of who taught me how to paint, if I can find an excuse to use Incubi Darkness, I will use Incubi Darkness.
It's a great color.
It is the most gorgeous. It is the most gorgeous dark, like blue black It's perfect for if you want to like not quite use black. I love it. I love it to death.
Yeah.
Can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, and so what you will about Games
Oh, you
Games
could say a
Workshop
lot. Like
paint.
change the pots, and it's perfect.
Yeah, pots or even the pricing, but they have some of the most fucking unique colors
Yes.
out of everybody. Like Vallejo's great, but so long as you want to just paint for the most part, like army, like World War II army colors, which can be really frustrating sometimes.
Yep. Nah, Incubi Darkness all the way. Love that paint. Love everything about it. It owns parts of my soul, I think.
I love Scale 75. I think it's difficult to use because it's like very thick, like sort of gel consistency. So you do have to learn how to like thin it down and control it properly. But it's the vibrancy of almost all of its colors and the way that they create their metallics, where like it goes on almost like a candied metallic. I love them.
Yep. Tristan?
I'm an avid speed painter user, and I painted an entire Shazvasi army with Gravelord Grey and whatever the red is called that I don't remember.
Nice.
And it was
Sarah's red?
It was above average at last arc, so I'll fucking take it for 2 colors.
Nick?
Previously it would have been Sepia Wash, but
Ooh.
I have moved to Umber Wash.
Seraphim Sapia was my base coat for an entire Death Guard army.
Yeah, I like Sepia was good. Like more for like War Machine models where it's dirtier. It's lower tech, more muddy. But with Infinity, I've moved more to the Umber Wash, which it's almost a black wash, but not quite. It's got just a hint of brown in it.
Yeah.
Which is perfect to get a good, almost clean armor look out of it.
Yeah, you're sort of going towards that panel lining anime like aesthetic, but you're not quite there because
it looks slightly used, but like they do clean it regularly.
Yeah. Josh?
Also an avid speed painter / contrast user. A Talasar Blue has probably been my favorite one to use.
Insane.
Talasar Blue is a fucking sick paint.
So I think I've got Aliberto right here, which is basically just Talasar Blue.
Yeah, look at him. Look at him.
And like they were all of the cloth in my Caledonia is all Talasar Blue, like all the kilts and stuff, they're all Talasar Blue.
Fair
so
enough.
Yeah, I really like that color. It's really cool. And also Eldari Emerald is also really good.
Yes.
Good one too.
It's a great color. I like blues and greens. So
yeah, blues and greens are great.
And I will say the inspiration for like my JSA army came from Gehenna's Gold.
Yeah. That's an interesting paint to use.
Yeah, Gehenna Gold is like most like that really like bronzy kind of gold. Is my secondary color in my JSA army, in my Oban army. And I love it. I love painting with it. It's great.
Nice.
Who wants to take the next one?
Just a simple question of painting level up moment in gameplay.
Have you had a painting level up moment? What's your gameplay level up moment? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I guess for painting, my level up moment, when I stopped comparing myself to the people I was playing with. Because my first major wargame group had a person there who had more golden demons than his mantle space.
Nice.
And then I moved, and I started playing with another game group that had multiple studio painters in it.
Oh, great.
And so I always thought my painting was horrible, because that was my standard.
Yeah.
And then finally went, no, I just need to compare it to myself. I need to stop looking at them. And that was a point where I saw that I actually was quite good with the paint.
Yeah.
And it also allowed me to tweak my paint to do little bits of improvement, because I could see the improvement relative to myself, not relative to them.
So Wait, you were in two groups with people whose job was to paint or miniatures.
Oh my god!
I was in Portland, Oregon, and the Privateer Press headquarters was in Washington, and so a fair number of the studio painters were down in Portland.
Fair enough.
Okay. Mine was the first time I painted. I painted a really nice power sword with the glaze, and I was like, "Oh, this looks really nice." And this is and I got the transition and everything, and it looks really good. I don't really have one gameplay wise. Infinity just sort of clicked for me pretty quickly, and it's felt like a very natural progression of thing to thing to thing to thing, and I never really had a big light bulb moment with Infinity. It was just, it flowed very naturally from point to point for me, or it felt like it did at least.
I remember watching a video once, guy painting a skink, and he made a mistake with a mold line, scrapped it off, and it just made me realize that they're my miniatures, and if I want to try something and it makes a mistake or something like that, no one's gonna know if I paint over it or if I dump them in acetone.
Yep.
That's why I actually kind of always get really annoyed when people give Infinity shit for being metal or the Siocast, because as somebody who likes to paint and wish I painted more, when I try something new and it's a mistake, the fact that I can just go, all of this will survive being put into the most aggressive paint stripper that I own, and then that's it.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. It's so when everyone was like, it's metal, I don't like gluing metal together, I go fuck yourself. It's the best thing to learn how to paint.
They've also greatly leveled up their ability on how the metal components go together.
Yes.
Yeah.
3D sculpting has done wonders for that.
Yeah.
I think for me, painting level up was someone just describing a quote from Adventure Time of all places to painting, which is from Jake the Dog saying, "Sucking at something is the first step to getting kind of good at something."
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
Good point.
And also perfect is the enemy of good. So those two things for me have really. Oh, and Agrax Earthshade. If you haven't used that,
fucking oath.
Or Null Oil,
Agrax Earthshade and Null Oil, liquid talent in a fucking pot.
Put a wash on your miniature. Watch your painting go from shit to real good. I still have one of those old army painter dip cans.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
That I used for D&D minis.
Yes.
Oh my god! So suddenly you can just go from a bad paint job to a great paint job. Fantastic.
Dip wash. Oh.
Yeah. Gameplay, I think that I'm similar to Jordan. I played my first 2 games of Infinity at 300 points were introductions to the community with Kev and Nick Toohill from the old Nick from the podcast. And then my 3rd through 8th games or 3rd through 9th games of Infinity were at BCB 2021 or 2020, which was both mine and Tristan's first tournament, and I came 9th at that tournament. So it's always it's just sort of clicked for me. I think that watching someone masterfully use camouflage is probably my the bit that made me go, this is how these are meant to be used. This is how an enemy armor is meant to be used. Or a Liberto or a Beast Hunter. This looks great. That's probably my gameplay.
Watching someone's really good at tags to someone who's just sort of starting out, it's such a massive difference.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Favorite profile in the game?
Hang on, sorry, Tristan didn't answer the question.
Sorry, Tristan.
Excuse me. For me, when I was painting the table, just posting every day on the Facebook and having people thumbs up it, I was like, okay, putting that little bit of expectation on myself to actually get started. And once you get started and keeping it rolling, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And then once you finally finish it, even if it's not perfect, which it's not, it just you can be proud that you've accomplished something, and like having a whole painted army is anyone. If you look at any 40k army that is painted by someone who isn't a goddamn professional, they look amazing. You pick up an individual model, they might not be the best, but you put them all together and it just fits and it's great.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, that's a really good point. Is paint to tabletop, not to like 60 inches away from your face.
Yeah. Put it progressively, like as you go through your paint job, as you go through painting, go, oh god, this looks bad. Put it down on the table and look at it from about like a meter away, because that's how often people are going to see your miniatures. Very, very rarely are they going to stick their face in it and like actually have a look at the paint job, unless you're doing like a painting prize. But even then, armies on parade is a thing. Just like the cheerleader effect.
Yep.
Everything looks good if they're in a group. So yeah.
Yeah, and
who cares about faces?
Yeah, whatever like your first miniature you paint, right? Don't think of it as like your first failure. Just think of it as your first success. A fully painted miniature is a successfully painted miniature. Right? I look at my old
really good way to think about it.
I look at my old steel phalanx, and I kept looking at them after I learnt a bit, and go, "Fuck! I wish I hadn't painted those models." I was like, "Well, I wouldn't have gotten to the point where I could, quote unquote, regret painting the models the way I did without painting that first model."
Yep. Absolutely.
Favorite profile in the game, Jordan?
Mine changes pretty frequently depending on the faction I'm playing. So right now it's Jaune Dark. She's just so much fun right now in vanilla. Like there's so much you can do with her. She's so much stronger now than she was before.
Which model of her is your favorite?
I honestly like the the standard mobility armor one, because the
one where she's got like the ponytail.
The one with the ponytail where she's got the gun and she's running.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I
think that looks really good. The limited edition one of that's nice too, but I see she's like holding out the sword, and I just imagine that getting caught on every single part of a table that it could possibly get caught on.
Yep.
I love Jaune. She's a ton of fun. Great glow up in the new edition. Ton of fun to paint as well when I was painting mine. Big ups.
Yeah, I will always like a decent gunfighter that has like a specialist skill attached. So right now, I have a soft spot in my heart for Tai Shen. I think she's just a fucking great model. She looked great. She's got great profile and everything. But my ultimate favorite model profile will always be the Azura hacker.
Oh yeah.
Right. That just the presence that that technically naked woman has.
Even with like the weird like baby face she sort of has going on.
I just like she's huge comparative to like a whole bunch of other models, and she's just it's just her. Yeah, I love her.
Yep, she's great.
Nick?
It kind of varies depending on what I'm playing at the time. Probably right now it's somewhere between the Fracta hacker and the Rodok hacker.
Hell yeah.
That's an interesting part.
Fracta hacker, because they are just amazing at coming on and plowing through the classified deck.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's a hacker who, the joy of being able to tell your opponent, okay, I've taken one wound from your Trinity, I go into survival form. What does survival form do? My BTS doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm now harder to kill.
Yes, yeah. And probably the Rodok hacker, but having some fun with that. Similar role in that very fast specialist, but it's also a hacker that has Trinity and BTS 6 with combat instinct, which means
Swick as well, right?
No, there's zero Swick as well.
Yeah, and it's a regular
that has been verified by CB to be intentional.
Yeah.
They're really resilient, fast specialist, and combining that with being able to ignore stealth through repeaters.
Yep.
Really changes how your opponent has to play around it.
Tristan?
I've probably said it 10 times on this podcast, but I love jack of all trade toolbox units like Boktar, like Asura. Carontid's probably another one now. I don't think it probably would take me a while to find another favorite unit the Boktar's kind of taken a hit in my eyes. It's not quite as good. But I just love models that I can spend 10 orders on and not be sad that I spent 10 orders on them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Gosh.
In N4, it was Yojimbo.
Yep.
And I think N5, Yojimbo's taking a little bit of, because of the dismount rules, Yojimbo's taking a little bit of a nosedive. And I think my favorite profile at the moment is the Shikami.
Hell yeah. Do you have the
Yeah.
convention ones as well?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Which was annoying because I had this whole plan to convert one to have a Naginata, and then that was the special release.
Yep. It's like, no, we'll just do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And
this next question is a lot of words.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've been looking at it. I think I can try to
Go and
summarize
bro,
it.
just lead into your answer, Nick.
Okay, so perhaps a noob question. I play with only 2 friends. Sometimes we feel like we understand the rules of the game rather well, but only know how to play the game with about 50% of them. For example, listening to Lost Lieutenant, realizing that how important prone is, or how important granting cover is from being elevated, or just the amount that terrain impacts the game and how much you really do need a significant amount and limited fire lanes to have the best experience. Beyond just looking at summaries and videos about how to play, like how any tips for beginners to improve their understanding of the game and how to play the game after they've read and understood the rules.
What do you got?
I feel like this could be an episode.
Yeah, this
absolutely
could be an episode.
So I would start by saying analyze your games after you play them. Once you're done, sit down with the other player and walk through the game. Talk about where the critical points were and hypothesize about how you could have played that differently and get their impression of that critical situation. Because you may have seen 3 solutions and they may have seen a 4th and a 5th solution that they were really hoping you didn't see.
Yeah.
And seeing it from their side, once you now have time to analyze it, can open up new options and new ways to view the situation on the board from both your perspective and theirs.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm because my answer is pretty much just best tacked onto the end of that. At the end of that, like revising the game, just take one thing away that you can not do or change the next time. I cannot tell you how many times like I forgot that Killer Hackers had Cyber Mask or Killer Hacker Devices had Cyber Mask, and then after those games, when I go, I spent a fuck ton of orders trying to get past this thing where I could have just tokened and gone past.
Yeah,
I took that away, and I have never forgotten that those units have that state again. So yeah, if once you do that revising, if you can't like take every single mistake, just take one that you find is vital, and then that's what you bring in to improve the next game.
Sorry, have a slight addendum on that. If you make a mistake, like tactically during the game, unless it's going to end the game right there, don't roll it back. Because that will force you to go into situations where it's not perfect and you have to think of how to use the different tools in your toolbox that may not be your plan A or B.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think the most important thing for very, very new players is just getting reps. If you get to the point where you think the game isn't like there isn't anything really valuable, and you've already learnt so much from this experience, there's no point overwhelming yourself. Just talk about that, re-rack, and try again. I probably, as an Infinity player, if you understand the rules, I wouldn't be looking at beginner videos or beginner summaries. I'd be looking at things like Rob Shepard's videos, because he's very succinct in how he explains his thought process between these bat reps. And if you understand the rules, it's going to make a lot of sense to you what he says about certain plays. And you'll be able to infer even more from what he says on top of learning what he's actually talking about.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of people out there that do lots of bat rep kind of content. If you don't like one, there's 6 or 7 others. Yeah.
When you are focusing on mistakes and things like that, when you are sitting down to discuss the game, you'll hear people do it all the time. But don't blame the dice rolls. Even if like there are always outlier games, like every game that I play against Tristan, always outlier games where everything just goes. In my Mercenaries game this morning, the same thing happened. Like everything just went right for my opponent, everything went wrong for me, but there were still things I could have done differently. So try get your anger out, like go, fuck, the dice are really bad, and hopefully your opponent goes, they were, I'm really sorry. But just like it's a dice game, and random chance is a thing that's going to happen. There's nothing that's like a certain success in Infinity, unless you're like, they literally can't go wrong for you. You can engineer that kind of situation, and that's what you should be like striving towards, is how you can the more things that are reproducible, rather than the things that bad luck did to you. That's what you sort of need to take away from the games. Get reps in, try and look, it's difficult because like I know that gaming groups are very difficult to get into, and sometimes you just want to play with your friends, and that's totally okay. You're allowed to do it. But if you really want to get better at the game, playing a diverse, having a diverse group of people that you can play against will level up your gameplay significantly. Because all of those people will have something different to take away from the game. Every time I play a game against someone, I take a little part of their game and bring it into mine, and then it becomes my gameplay style, and then I impart that onto somebody else. So it's pushing for diversity in your gameplay, like in your opponents, is also key. And if you're worried about like, I know that like, it can be difficult to break into a community, but like Infinity is kind of a game that lends itself to having a really good community. We've got a fantastic one here in Melbourne, and in fact, like I started the game 4 years ago, and like some of the Infinity crew in Melbourne are now my best friends. So it's you can like something will come along that you can just create new friendships and new things, and eventually you'll start a podcast with them and it'll be fun.
Yay!
And then you can have a chat to other niche micro internet celebrities. But yeah, just get reps in. Don't focus on the dice rolls. Focus on what you can reproduce as a mistake or as a good thing, and also compliment sandwich yourself. Like, nothing is all bad. I guarantee something in your game you've done right. So,
find that.
If you're delivering bad news to someone, usually it's helpful to like give them a good piece of good news, then give them the bad news, then give them another piece of good news. So do that to yourself. Say, this is what I did well. This is what I did shit. This is really what I did well again. And you're allowed to do that. That's part of how we improve, and that's part of how we internalize things. That's sort of a long and short of it. And also, one more thing: there's never been a perfect game of Infinity.
No,
don't get too hung up on the rules.
Literally never.
If you are struggling with a very particular niche rules interaction, message a friend. Message that gaming group that you're trying to break into. I'm sure that someone will be able to find the answer for you, or has experienced that situation. There's while there's never been a perfect game of Infinity, there's nothing's new under the sun. So there's been every kind of situation.
Yeah.
And people have dealt with it. So
nice.
That's it. A lot of advice there.
Yeah, I guess I'll just do 2 really quick ones. Look up probabilities, but don't tunnel vision on them. Probability is exactly that. It's probability. Things can go sideways. don't let yourself be ruled by the probability of this is this, so I can only do this. Just use it as a guideline of if a thing was a good idea, if it worked out, great. If it didn't work out, shit happens. Don't tunnel vision on it.
Probability is a product of Western research methodologies, and it's really bad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you shouldn't tunnel vision on it. You're not rolling thousands of dice over a course of a 3-round game. Therefore, you won't reach probability. You won't reach average probabilities. So don't worry about it.
The dice calculator is a very good thing, but it is also a very terrible thing in what it can do to people.
It lacks nuance. It lacks nuance.
Infinity is a game of like risk mitigation.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would recommend to people is if you're really new and you're like playing 150-point games and you're not really getting it, just play 300-point games. They're completely different, or at least full-size table games at 200 or 250 points or whatever you want to do. But 150 game tables play completely different to 300-point game tables.
Yeah.
150 points is really good for the basic turn mechanics.
Yeah.
And there's a reason 300 points is the preferred format.
And if I can offer one piece of advice, just try to get good at eyeballing distances.
Yeah.
If you can sort of judge what roughly 24 inches is and roughly what 32 inches is, it will help a lot. And it will help you get better at the game. I can guarantee you that without a shadow of a doubt.
Especially
this is about an inch.
Yep.
This is about an inch. A HMG is 16 to 32 of these.
There you go. Just eyeball that shit.
That's not an
man.
inch. That's like 2 inches.
Just eyeball that shit.
2 inch? Your thumb knuckle is 5 centimeters?
Fucking.
Are you kidding?
Maybe.
That.
All right, Jordan. What's it like living rent-free in everyone's head? Who has given you an ensuite versus just a spot on the couch?
Fucking Josh. My friend Josh, not Josh from the podcast, different Josh. I guess if I'm going to give this a serious answer... Oh, shut up. You know I love you. If I'm going to give this a serious answer, Ivory has given me the spot on the couch because I seem to be a boogeyman in their head when it comes to standing across the table from them. In terms of who's giving me the fucking ensuite, so Lachlan Summer is obsessed with the fact that I think at one tournament I made fun of them for playing a round really slowly and playing all the way through lunch. And then ever since then, they've initiated everything about that, and I'm just playing into it now, to the point where I was not at round 5 of CanCon. They finished their game, walked out looking for me, walked over to a group of people from Melbourne apparently, and was like, "Where's Jordan? I need to tell him that
I'm done early
this game before the round ended."
That's funny.
So the fact that I wasn't even there and I made that happen, I think that counts as the ensuite.
To be fair, I think you were making fun of him round 1 as well.
I was,
the
yeah.
very same tournament.
And guess what? He played through lunch. So
he did.
Fucking, I'm justified in that. If he didn't play through lunch, wouldn't have been justified. He played through fucking lunch.
Quick game's a good game.
Absolutely.
Right. So,
what is your favorite tournament or 2-day event and why? Like, did you come in first? Assign in your progression of skills, the community? Yeah.
All right, Jacob.
I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Elite Command Melbourne. It's a 400-point tournament that's run over one day where every single combat list is a single group. So old, limited insertion. It's just a fun day of running like really weird lists that you never have the opportunity to run otherwise. Like, you can easily fit, I know because I did it one year, 2 Maroots in a list with little to no effort.
I played Avatar and Mathematics.
Hell exactly.
Yeah.
I played into that.
So yeah. I mean, I played a game once which was me and my opponents both playing OSS and both having 2 Maroots. So we had 4 Maroots on the table.
Yeah, all right, sure.
So that was, it's just it's a silly day. It's not really anything you can take seriously because the lists are like never to be repeated again stupidity.
Yep. Josh?
I think Nova Core 2 probably was my favorite. The reason is I think I came about middle of the pack. It really sort of cemented that I had way more to learn in the game. It was my third major event ever. And I ended up taking Vanilla Aleph at the next BCB to some success after that tournament. I think it's where I got introduced most to a lot of the community, and it's where a lot of those friendships sort of started and sort of cemented. So Nova Core 2 has a extra special place in my heart.
Tristan?
I think so. We've been to 4 BCBs at this point, 3 CanCons, an ARC. I didn't, unfortunately, go to Nova Core, but we also went to Border Bash, which was just fucking insane. It was great. Aside from the fact that I came 9th and I got best sports and best table, ignore that. It was the first time we had a venue that wasn't completely full. We had no one else there. People were smashing stubbies at 10 in the morning. We had homemade cookies. We had great challenges on all the missions. The missions were great. We had pub feeds every night. There was no fucking 40k players across from us screaming for the Emperor or any dumb shit.
Yep.
It was great.
Good. I love Border Bash. Nick?
I agree. Border Bash. Just nicely placed where it's kind of roughly equal distance for the between Sydney and Melbourne and Canberra. The players who aren't in those cities can fly into the cities and get a ride up. So it's kind of like everyone is just out of town for, which means you don't it's a full holiday.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to worry about going home, taking care of the kids. Everyone is there. The venue was great. It was large enough that the noise was not an issue for the number of people we had in there. Everyone's relaxed because they're just here for that. No one is worried about going home to do something. It was just a really great, relaxed weekend.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna say BCB 2023.
The one at the pub.
The one at the Bowls Club.
Yep.
Oh yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's the first event that I podiumed, and I felt very, very happy with how I played that weekend. I felt good about all my games, and the loss that I had annoyed the hell out of me and motivated me to do better.
Very nice.
And my Ahegao tracksuit.
The Ahegao tracksuit. There's a core Infinity memory of me is us walking into the venue, walking up to get registered. Pete Henry takes a single look at Josh and looks up from his computer. Oh, you're playing JSA, are you? Looks back down at his computer and just writes it down. It was a magical moment.
It was great.
Hey, dressing up for your army's fun. I did that when I first played TAC. I had my fucking Adidas tracksuit on.
I still have that picture in my phone.
Yeah, me in front of the Adidas.
Yeah.
All right, CB sculpts have gone through distinct phases. Do you have a favorite era or a specific army sculpts from certain era that you are particularly fond of?
Oh, I copied my answer, Jacob, you dirty dog.
Well, both of you read it out at the same time then.
That's right, he can have it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, mine's sort of late-ish N4 when they started...
N3,
N3, yeah, sorry. About when they started, around when Tunguska came out. I feel like from then to probably about when they started running out of poses, which has probably been maybe in the last year, have just been some really great designs. I think when they really started pumping out sectorials and giving very unique looks to a whole bunch of models, because when Tunguska hit, I honestly almost didn't care what Tunguska played like. I was like, Holloman look awesome, boom, I'm buying that.
Nice. Nick?
I don't know if I have a really particular phase of their sculpting that I like the best. All of them have very good high points. Over the time, the baseline has definitely come up.
Yeah.
But like if you go for Ed 1, some of the early dog warriors, especially McMurdo. Okay, have a soft spot for his human form.
Okay.
Someday I'm going to get that painted up as an HVT, and
That's
no one's going to be able to get into base contact with it because it's got its sword out.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say that I think now designs are missing is the ambition they had with N1 and N2 sculpts. Like, one of my favorite, like, take a look at the Asawira now and go and take a look at the old Asawira with rifle, who is doing like a sweet, like equilibrium, whatever, pose. The old Wolver with Ohopnik is doing like and I think Senior Massacre has a similar one where they're jumping over a barricade or something like that. There's there's an ambition that is just not quite there in the current models that I think they need to like with the new technology. They need to try and do that a bit more. I want the old Gaki that's doing a cartwheel.
Those are amazing sculpts, but I could definitely see why they retired them, because I'm just not sure how, like, short of magnetizing them in their own individual crate, you keep those in one piece.
You just in a carry case that has magnets. So my ones are fine. You just stick a magnet in the base. And when you pick them up by the base.
That too, yeah.
the main thing that's changed, like, from now to then is the like understanding, like, they make the stuff that needs to hold the model together just thicker, right, and bigger and more scenic. I still think they can do that.
Yeah. Josh?
So I actually think it's for me whenever. I mean, I've only really been playing for N4, so I don't have anything. But my favorite model, I think, is the Moblo Sapper HMG.
Yes.
So whenever that came out, that's my favorite era.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying
so
about
good.
like the ambition. It's such a unique pose, the gun between the like feet.
There's some things they nail, like that early JSA stuff is nailed. All the Nao Barn stuff, the JSA Action Pack is all incredible.
The JSA Action Pack, like the not the Yujing Sectorial Pack, the JSA Action Pack when they came out for. Yeah, that's great.
That's all nailed.
Yeah, the Diokai and the Tankos.
They're all insane profiles.
Yeah,
this is the miniature that got me into the game.
Hell yeah!
I mean,
first miniature painted, great miniature.
Yeah, like there are a couple of, like you said, the Moblo Sapper HMG, even the old Cataran still holds up. Like you look at it and you could not tell that it's an older model. You look at it and go, oh, that was made now. It's like, no, that's years old.
Yeah.
So I think my very favorite model is the Aquila HMG. Has that beautiful mix of dynamicness, ease of painting, a blowing cape. It doesn't overflow its base like some models are now. I think a lot of CB sculpts now, especially since the Baku wounded and shit that I kind of don't really like.
S2.
They don't feel dynamic and they feel kind of rehashed. They feel like I could look at this hacker sculpt and it looks like a hacker sculpt across the entire range.
Is it doing the pose with the fucking...
Is it doing the pose? But so there's just some sculpts, like some of those JSA sculpts, one of those shooting sculpts where it has the sword sticking forward, the Aquila, that just read super dynamic.
I really like the Aquila because the coat looks like it's naturally blowing that way.
Yes.
Like it's not just billowing out, it like wraps around the leg. So it looks like wind blown. It looks like from one side. It looks really good. It's such a classic mini. It's so good.
I'm gonna be, because I know I'm like one of the only people that thinks this. I really like the Morat redesign, and that was probably my favorite era. I think they nailed it. I think going from like just Space Monkeys to like Space Monkeys, but also like Space Oni is fucking sick. And the new Datarazzi are some of my favorite sculpts in the game. The like in military industrial waste with like the swords where they look like nothing else in Infinity. They look like a sharpened steel girder that they just shoved in its hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all in on that.
Yeah, it's one of the few weapons you look and go, yeah, that is a DA weapon.
Yeah, that'll fucking cane you. Like, yep.
Yeah, but the old hacking device plus though, like
I hated the old more like curved swords. I think they look so bad.
I think there's a common trend between like the limited edition like Defiance and Platinum Pledge miniatures. They just look amazing because I think they just get that little bit extra time put in each one.
Totally.
Whereas nowadays they might not have the manpower and they're pushing out more and more models to do that kind of love to each individual model. So yeah, old Defiant stuff. Can't believe I'm saying old.
Yeah, I know, right? I try and start clubbing through these, baby, because it's a little. We're running a little bit long. If you could design your own NA2 army, what faction units would you include?
Okay, I'll start. Alternative History Army. The Toha first encounter humans on Dawn prior to the humans reestablishing contact, and they decide to uplift.
Sure.
Cool. So it's almost like a Tau human thing.
Yeah, like Toha land there and go, oh, look at all these primitive things like humans and antipodes, and decide to uplift because they are the superior power at that point with no human sphere contact.
Yep. Tristan?
I didn't really know what factions to put, but like a Black Ops task force, kind of a mix of just like, let's keep Aleph in check and no one gives a fuck. So just the ultimate camo faction of like Shaz, a little bit of HB, a little bit of fucking Oban, a little bit of O12, and they're just like, Aleph, you better watch your back, motherfucker.
Well, funnily you say that because I have been wanting to see Aleph Toph for ages, which is the O12 section that monitors Aleph. So, and like works with Aleph. So I want like an O12 Aleph combined with maybe, I've always wanted to have a character profile for the post-humans.
Okay,
so like one of the bodies you pick is like a character,
named dude,
and then the other two are just its body, right? So it's still just one unit, one post-human, but you get like a body is with a name. Because I know Dart and all that are technically like post-humans, but I want one that's more into the like cyber, like Ghost in the Shell shit.
Yeah, totally. Right. Josh?
I'd like to see like a JSA Pano like going through the uprising thing. So like just a mixture of JSA and Pano units. Like the Pano units are like supplying them and because that's what they did, but like, you know, and getting trained by the JSA ninjas and all that kind of stuff. That'd be the juice for me.
Like like the Last Samurai-esque sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I'd like to shut Eugene players up once and for all so they can have like an NA2 sectorial that's like a bunch of Eugene defectors and JSA working together. So it's just so it could be just like the old days.
So just bring back N3.
You could stop
as long as you can take Hundun and Ryukin and Raiden all in this.
You could stop being such a divorced fucking dad about it. There you go. If you want to do it, you can do it. It's in NA2.
Heavy rocket launcher X-Visor, the sectorial.
Yeah. This would be so quick.
Yeah, if you were forced to eat one Infinity Mini, what would it be? For me, it's the old Atalanta tin bot. I think that thing's small enough you could pass it without a problem.
You fucked up, because that's got lead in it, my boy.
Oh, whatever.
You gotta eat something new.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to eat a Psycast, do I?
Like a symbio bomb, I think. It's probably,
I
think you passed it out pretty good. Yeah.
Mine would be the Nova Core HVT, the Tech Bay, which is just Tech B, but it's Gavin instead, and it's fucking 3D printed, so you just dissolve that shit. Fucking stomach acid will lead away that one, I reckon.
All right, what are your favorite stories in the lore of
Nick didn't need a mini. What do you need?
What's Nick eating?
I didn't have a great answer, so let's go for a Marut.
Okay, sure.
Because
We're making a meal out of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
Plus, it's Cybercast, so it shouldn't be too bad.
You could bite through Cyocast.
It could be, you know, it could be the Marut, so it can just let me down one more time.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, what ballistic skill is that post-human?
Shut up.
What are your favorite stories in the lore of Infinity?
Alright, quickly.
I love Jacob's one because
I've always enjoyed. It used to be on the website. Don't know if it is anymore. Aquan model when he had 2 pistols and actually looked cool. His little story in the description is he's like sort of essentially he's autistic. And he gets into an APC and Fusilier Angus is sitting in his seat and he asks Fusilier Angus to move and he says fuck off, and so it fades to black and it comes back to people holding back Akmon, and Fusilier Angus has a live D-charge on his chest.
Mine is one that Trent shared in our group chat. I think it was like a week ago, and it was just Gabriel Teferson calling Kyle Hawkwood God's special fucking idiot. I'm like, yep. That's perfect. That's all I need. That's all I need to hear is just that kind of attitude. Yeah.
I want to add just one special call out to one of our local players, Tim, who has his special Jeru's company, which is his headcanon is led by a really rich kid, but he never succeeds.
No.
Because Jeru's like have sucked for such a long time, he kept playing them.
Yep. Tristan?
I don't know Infinity. I guess it's the one where Algebel's in a room and then he murders everyone and then he wakes up.
Okay. Hell yeah.
I don't know Infinity lore very well.
Nick?
I probably similar, going up to what my suggestion on expanding with Dakash and him questioning what missions he's been on that they haven't let him know once he wakes up.
Yep. Josh?
Patroclus and Diomedes dying.
Oh.
So Achilles can actually finally embark on his villain era and join the combined army.
Hello. With Halloween season a mere 8 months away, have any Infinity horror stories, either gaming or hobby related? Mine was, I was priming some combined army stuff that included a Sphinx, Norkius, and a couple of other things. And when I prime stuff, it sits on the top of our garbage bin in the garage. And I left it there to sit and finish curing. Came back out, and I was like, I gotta throw something out. I'll go do that quickly. Lift up the bin and just hear clatter, 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 clatter. Oh. Everything broke.
Oh, no.
And then I repaired it all. But it was... there were a few moments where I had been more furious at myself and called myself more very descriptive expletives.
I told you Sphinxes are shit.
They are. And now Nick owns those models.
Yes, yeah. That's. I'm running down the list. And we're like, those are all in my. I eventually need to acetone these things.
You didn't get a. You didn't get a certificate to say that it hadn't been in a car accident.
They're all fine. I repaired them all. All of them are fine. Like they're all fixed.
You don't have a miniature roadworthiness.
They're all fixed. They were fine afterwards. I used that mentor. He's fine. They're all fine. It was just, I was very fucking angry at myself.
I guess.
Yeah, I had same BCB that Jordan was talking about. Going into the 4th round, I had to make this run down a particular side of the board, and the only thing that was stopping me was a Frontovic sniper. And I could not put this fucking thing down. I think I had to do it. There was like, it was not worth me not spending my entire time trying to kill it, because I had to get into his back line to kill like a shit ton of points, and it just bombed any chance I had of placing higher in the tournament. But whatever.
Yep. Josh?
Every time a tag is burnt to the ground from a single HRL shot.
Is that really? That's really it?
It's happened more than once.
Oh wait, was it the other time me as well with the Surgat and the fucking Oyuroi?
No.
Okay. Oh
no.
wow.
The other one was a Muib HRL. No, you're right.
Defining moment of our friendship that was. I've never seen you smile through the pain more than being like, "Man, it's his first 2-day tournament. Josh, don't call him a slur."
Hobby-wise, this was prior to Arc. Last year, I was sealing my Camille, and the locking forceps twisted and popped, and it fell out and landed fin first on the cement below, which proceeded to, it bent the fin slightly, but it also shattered all the paint off the fin. And the fin had an inked gradient on it.
Ah!
So it's just a case of going like, I have like 2 days before Arc. There is no way I can strip and repaint this model. I have to try to patch, paint the fin and make it just shadowed enough on all sides so that no one looks too carefully at it.
All right, just a little bent boy. He got bent.
Every time I make a bet with Valen, he beats me because he gets fucking easy opponents and I get fucking hard ones. Oh, you played a guy who's only played like 2 games? Oh, here's a good one. Fucking last CanCon before last, right? I won playing Cosmo. I'm 3 major wins going into day 2. I'm like, I look at my opponent, I go, he's playing 012. I'm like, sweet, I know 012.
And then the repair happens.
Rock up, repair. Ryan Kirby gets the new guy. I get fucking Hector. I pull a draw. In fact, Hector pulls a massive draw out of his ass, and Kirby goes, the guy didn't even know how to play the mission. He walked into the room, opened a box, and walked out. And I went, what the fuck? Why couldn't I get that guy? And then I got fucking Hector.
Yeah, and then in round 5 you had Ryan Kirby on the world's most open table, and it was decided by the LT roll.
I had Kirby on the most open closed table ever because I couldn't see where he was going to run his tag, but there was nothing in my DZ stopping him from just getting there.
Yep.
So there's like a big barrier in my DZ. Oh, fuck, it's alright.
Oh, that was yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Corvus Belly have announced the simultaneous release of a Chuck Norris inspired unit blister and a A-Team inspired 4-unit box. Is this enough to save US Ariadna?
No, give us fucking Caledonia back.
No.
I will make that trade.
Oh, absolutely. Is this this is a hypothetical, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
No,
Chuck Norris has Achilles'.
They are just printing Chuck Norris's face onto a miniature Jacob and putting it in a blister.
They did it for Brad Pitt and fucking whoever played Hector. They've done it before.
Eric Banner.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris has if Chuck Norris has Achilles' stat line and costs 15 points, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there we go.
Save yourself.
Tristan?
Yes.
Okay. Nick?
I would say...
I don't think this is a question that needs everyone to answer.
I think possibly, but because it does address part of the US Ariadna problem, which is not having enough variety of units. But if they're all characters, probably not.
Okay.
All right.
What is your favorite Loss of Lieutenant episode?
My very first Lost episode was the BCB winners interview with Callum. Right after our first BCB, who won with a limited insertion of Sora Harris of Pavadi, Asura Hacker, and Yadu HMG NCO. And that was like his first 5 games of N4.
Hell yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And then it was really funny to learn afterwards that he in fact didn't win. They miscounted the objective points or something, and Luke was supposed to win.
Ah, wonderful.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Also, both Luke and Callum should still get shade for agreeing to a draw round 5 top table. That is a no-go.
Absolutely. It's disgusting.
Yep.
Mine would be the BrizCon winners recap with Hector.
I still get asked about that episode. Like, I still get people like, oh, I remember that episode. Your Loss of Lieutenant? I remember the one with the Spanish dude who played Jean Mendoza.
And mostly because it was just Val and Hector for about half an hour extolling the virtues of my Kasatsu missile launcher.
Yeah, nice.
Excellent.
And didn't Val have a rant about Anyat in that? And he spent like 15 orders or something stupid on Anyat to do something, to shoot a tag or something, and she just failed. That's what I remember from that episode.
Would do.
Yeah.
Jacob?
Probably the
you've
first
got the largest to go through.
Yeah, I do, and I don't remember half of them. Probably the first Pimp My List episode.
Oh yeah,
fun.
I think that was Kev's idea. And I think as far as Infinity Podcast goes, I think it's just been such an iconic idea for Loss of Lieutenant.
Hell yeah.
Very nice.
I think mine would have to be the So You Just Got Alpha.
Nice.
Because I think that was the first episode that I really sat down and just wrote an entire episode. And that was also the first one that I got random people approaching me to give me feedback on the episode. So
yeah, that was like my experience from Pimp. Yeah, actually, you just reminded me of that. But yeah, that one was a good episode.
Okay. Do the hosts have a pet project?
Jordan's favorite episode.
That's fine. Mine is, I'm going to be a little bit self-indulgent. It's
My winner's interview! Woo!
No, actually. The first episode I was on, which was the CanCon 2023 recap with Val that he did. Not because I was there, but because Taj was there.
Yeah.
And boy, howdy, have we never gotten more feedback about an episode, I think, than a bunch of Europeans and Americans going, oh, so that's actually what not regulated Aussie sounds like. What an episode.
Do the hosts have a pet project in 2025? Nick?
Yes. So having finished my first table, I have started working on my next table, and based on how it went with my first one, expect a completion date somewhere around 2027.
And the materials to change multiple times?
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But I expect to be drafting it up, laser cutting it, but with more detail and more textures, and working with etched in textures plus wood stains to get better colors out of it. Yeah.
I always have tables in the works. I have like a dozen tables at this point. I'm hoping that I can attend an event that doesn't have a painting requirement and be fully painted at some point.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jumping off of that, mine's to paint about 1,000 points, 500 or so points worth of pano by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You're on good track for that.
Pano.
Yeah, I'm gonna be super boring. I just want to be able to get more painted models. I'd really like to attend ARC this year without having to do what I half expect I'm gonna have to do, which is grovel for someone else's painted army.
Nice.
Oh dear.
Josh? No?
Yeah.
I suppose we all have a joint one of let's make Loss of Lieutenant great.
Yes.
For the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can say that. You can say that. That's fine. It's fine.
Just dagger to the heart. Jesus Christ.
No.
What is one profile at N5 you can't wait to get on the table?
The IR!
Yep.
It's so good.
You don't need to say anything else. It's just that. He's just a believer.
It's good.
I seriously want to try the
Gwylos
with the Jath and the M and an M drone. It seems really strong, but I may never win a game with it because it's possibly the only thing that's going for Shaz right now.
Yeah, I even though I swapped off them, I kind of want to play combined again and Norkius someone.
No,
I do. It has to be someone I'm friends with, so I don't get hit afterwards. But I'd like to kill most of someone's army with Norkius and see how that feels.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a good person, I promise.
I'd like to try an aerial unit. I haven't. I don't play any armies that have them.
So maybe eventually JSA will get one, or maybe Aleph will get one if God willing they get a new sectorial. Yeah, an area unit would be cool.
Hey, left off. Hey,
Nick?
left off.
Honestly, like restricting to the factions I'm playing, I think I've plowed through all of them.
Hell yeah.
So I think I've gotten all of them on the table.
Hell yeah. That's what we like to hear.
I want to get a Magariba guard on the table. Actually, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I want to. We should play some hack.
So, with the significant reduction of mercenaries taken from a lot of armies, do you foresee soldiers of fortune making a comeback to tournaments? I'm just going to jump in and say, not really. It's always been a fun little gimmick. That, you know, for the most part, the most exciting thing really about it is giving smoke to Pano.
Yeah. Can we all just sort of agree that it's another gimmick and it probably won't see regular play outside of like very specific tournaments?
Yeah, but I would say there's certainly space for it now.
Yeah.
With the N5 revisions, so not fewer people have access to those mercenaries to start with.
Yeah.
What is the merc list now?
Depends on the faction.
Yeah.
I think the way we did it was really nice, raffling off the mercenaries, so there's only one of each at the tournament.
That was cool, yeah.
Having every faction take McMurrow that can take McMurrow is a bit silly.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
Nice.
Next question.
What is a trick you learned from playing Infinity you want all new players to know? I'll start off with roll your dice, then calculate the target number.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because if you rolled a 1, it's probably success. If you rolled a 20, it's probably not a success.
I cannot tell you how many times I've been like, and I need to get fuck it, I'll just roll and see if it matters.
Yep. Especially when it's a number you've like already tried to roll several times and it just keeps slipping your mind.
Yeah, or if like you know it's like around 13 or 15 or something like that, you're like, if I get like 10s and 12s, I know I'm good.
Yep. Josh?
Write one list, practice the shit out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna say knowing when to cut your losses. Infinity sometimes is a game about restraint where sometimes you need to go, my turn's almost up, I need to get into that defensive position to weather the storm that's coming.
Yep. Tristan?
Talked about it a little bit before. Reps is the best way you're going to be able to practice. And if you get smashed, re-rack. Experienced players might get more experience from playing it out. But as a new player, I think it's way more valuable to learn from those little mistakes and then immediately practice that, regardless of trying to learn how to come back from a really bad situation. And 150-point games are not 300-point games. They don't play the same at all.
Yep. I will just quickly say, I guess, unless I've just completely forgotten what I was going to say. I have entirely just forgotten what I was going to say. Wow. That's
countdown clock.
Yeah, no, that's just completely gone out of my head, and I don't even remember what it was going to be.
Shout it out randomly if you remember.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I think we pretty much covered this earlier on with one of the first questions. Is there a point where a unit /profile/army is not just good, but broken and ruining the game?
Yeah.
I remembered.
Yes, but...
Infinity is as much a mental game as it is physical on the tabletop. Learn how to keep a cool head, and sometimes accept that your opponent will just fuck themselves, and you just need to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yep. I'll give another example of a fucked situation was fully looped Kamals when they had MSV2 and MIM. It was pretty much the only unit in the game that had that combination, and it was very oppressive.
Yep, that'll do it.
Yeah, the worst I've ever remembered was when Tag Awareness popped up and it got onto every single tag and the avatar just became a nightmare.
Yeah.
The Mormare's not in the game and therefore that unit is broken.
Yeah.
Our hearts are broken.
Different type of broken.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
What do you consider the worst faction in the game, and what is a change that could fix it?
I think. I guess
sounds like all of us.
This is universal.
Yeah.
Well, no, I just wanted to be different, but it's universal. US
Ariadna.
Yeah.
They've got nothing going for them.
Well, they need a greater variety of units so they can build enough styles of list to be viable in a tournament, regardless of the mission lineup. And they're not there yet now.
Just copy-paste the Lord of the Rings meme, where it's Denethor and Faramir, and it's you wish, and Faramir is yes,
I died, yeah.
Yeah, you wish that I had died and that Caledonia had lived. I do wish that.
I do wish that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only thing I've got is it's not the worst faction by any means, but I fear that it's sort of slipping there as Tohar is ever so slightly getting left
You are on
behind.
drugs.
Well, it is like the fact that their engineers have no purpose in their army almost other than to complete objectives.
Every single Ariadne's
are in the game, like, you know.
But they don't even have armed turrets or deployable cover.
They get, but the engineer is a doctor. Or are you talking about the Kusil?
What do you mean?
Bioengineers are doctors as well as engineers.
Yeah, no, I know that.
And Kusil engineers exist because they're cool.
They are.
That's like saying Dr. Worm is a bad engineer if you take him in Morats.
I think Tohar's pretty good.
Tohar's great.
I fear it slipping.
He's being
it's slipping into being out of fucking print. So hopefully they start printing Tohar models.
I think the worst sector. I think the worst was what's the actual question? The worst faction in the game? I think it's probably Bakunin.
Is it because
we can just disregard
because I hate playing against them?
I thought it was because they had sex with the pubniks. Read the lore, kids. It's fun. I promise. I wish I hadn't been told that.
Literally an outrage.
Yeah. Ugh.
That's
favorite and least favorite part of N5. Rules, armies, profiles, whatever. It just cannot be ITS related because Jordan says Bpong.
I'm not going to say Bpong. My favorite... you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go first. Favorite part of N5 is that everything is now universally rolling to the target number or under the target number. There is no dumb outlier with armor saves anymore. Thank you. It was so dumb that it had to be exceed and not meet.
Yes.
So the fact that it is now everything is universally roll to the target number or below it is fantastic. The least favorite thing is that in N5 in some ways feels a little bit undercooked, and I wish they had have been given more time to design everything and get it out in a time frame they were happy with, and that they weren't very clearly pushed by salespeople to get it out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'd just say that I like the shift, having played just even a few games now, the shift to the way like the fire teams are sort of viewed, with like Duo and Harris's being more prominent. My least favorite is shifting my perspective to the fact that Duo and Harris's are now sort of the thing, and that like big core Death Stars are
old man yells at crowd more at 10.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tristan?
I'll agree. Fire team changes are great. I love just duos being a thing. My least favorite thing is some factions just didn't get their fire team chart updated at all.
Yep.
So, kind of makes the fire team changes just shit for them.
I'd say favorite rules change is probably the regular climb and jump, because that has just opened up the game table especially for redeployment.
Yeah.
I think like in one of my games yesterday, I think my Suryat Sagarat regular long skill jumped 3 times at different points where he's like, okay, I'm cleared out. I just need to get across this gap, but I don't want to go walk back to the stairs over there. Easy. Least favorite, probably a toss-up between what happened to Climbing Plus and the lopsided distribution of the new toys, like the turrets, deployable cover, and disco balls among the existing factions.
Yeah.
Totally. Josh?
Favorite part's probably the albedo change.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Least favorite. The new edition came out
and I already was time poor, and now I am exceedingly time poor because I am
And
trying to
you're on a
get
podcast.
as many games of Infinity in as I can.
Hell yeah. What unit or profile model is your guilty pleasure that the internet thinks is ugly or mediocre? I don't have one for N5. My one for N4 was the Umbra Samaritan. Because, boy howdy, did I have to have 1,000,001 fucking arguments with people online that were like, you just take Norkius. I'm like, no, you fucking don't. The Umbra Samaritan was better than Norkius in N4.
You certainly proved it when you played me. Like, I always wanted to try and fit the Umbra Samaritan, and then I watched you play. I was like, oh, that's how you do it.
Hill I will fucking die on.
I have a genuine love for Toha, and every time I say it, people yell at me.
Oh, the miniatures.
Yeah, I think some of them. I think a lot of them are really cool.
It's just so unique.
I like
Anyone
the
who
little
thinks that
Sligo
Toha
hair.
looks bad needs to look at old Nima Satar. I'll wait.
Oh,
Go look
yeah.
it up now.
But even then,
That is
I
the
kind of
sexiest
like
goddamn
old
miniature.
I kind of like old Nima Satar. I know
No,
she's
it's the
stupid.
No, it's the sexiest goddamn miniature that's ever been printed.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love
but
Toha.
I like new Nima Satar, and
Yeah.
I think
Like new Satar is great.
I honestly think that if I had to say, like, for the best looking tags, I'd put the Gorgos probably. I'd almost say top 5.
Hell yeah, you plant that fucking flag. I have to do this because I have a friend who loves this. I love fucking Toha as well. The symbio mates and bombs are fantastic. I love the symbio mate looks so happy. You get handed the symbio mate. It's like, here is your state issued friend, and he's like, bah! It's like, good, he likes you. Now watch him die for you.
I always imagine it is like the symbio mates jumping in front of it, like save the president style.
Bah! He likes you.
Mine may be known. It is the Dropsuit Terriot.
Yep. It's just such a U model.
They're just so good. And 16 points. And I've been trying to make them work for 2 editions, and I think I've made them work.
Yep.
Hey.
Josh?
Profile Miyamoto Musashi. 100%.
Oh man, you've been absolutely trying to force that one for so long. He's your boy.
He's my boy. Yojimbo is my boy, but Miyamoto Musashi might be my new boy. Miniature. I like them all. They're good.
Yeah.
There's no. Yeah.
Tristan?
I don't run bad models.
Fuck off! It's the Boktar.
I can't
tell me I'm wrong.
I can't just answer Boktar for every question.
Yes, you can.
What's your favorite profile? Boktar. What's the least ugly profile you like? The Boktar. What's the most ugly profile you like? The Boktar.
The Boktar. It fills all the boxes.
The Boktar paramedic.
There we go. You just list off a different profile for each one. Nick, I feel like you should lead into this next one.
Yeah.
Actually, you've lived both of these.
Yes. You want to ask it, or should I?
I was just going to let you read it out and answer first, man.
Sure. To my Northern Hemisphere, whoever is highlighting that, you're putting the tag over the words. To my Northern Hemisphere-oriented brain, it's always been weird that in the Southern Hemisphere, Christmas and the holidays are in the middle of summer. Is that weird at all for you guys, or is it just how it is?
I'm gonna say right now, the last few years, when it comes to Christmas, I actually start getting a little angry whenever I hear fucking Christmas music coming on, because there's like talking about snow and white Christmas, and I'm like, there's no fucking snow here. Sing about the sun and the beach.
I work in retail. If there was some way for me to destroy the original recording of the song "All I Want for Christmas," I would do it in a heartbeat. I hate it so much. It starts playing in October.
Yeah.
That's a banger. Fuck you.
No, fuck off. Fuck off.
Wham. Last Christmas is the one that gets deleted.
I hate when I start hearing fucking Bublé on the radio.
Yeah, that's
Nick, the actual lived experience guy.
Yeah, the actual lived experience
guy.
No, I have
I'd say it's kind of like driving on the opposite sides of the road. You just adapt. But then that said, Christmas isn't as big of a drawdown here as it is up there.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
think part of that is the differing importance of religion at a societal level, but also I guess part of it is we don't have a captive audience during Christmas because we're not holed up in the middle of winter, so we can go out and do anything else.
Okay,
We're not just stuck inside.
I suppose this answers my question of do you prefer the white Christmas or the Christmas here? Or just the weather during Christmas here or there?
I'm
Sounds
kind
like
of
they both suck.
indifferent for them occurring during Christmas. It's as far like school holidays, I think it's nicer here because they're more spread out versus
one giant long break.
One giant, and then it's like straight through the rest.
Yeah.
And I think having Christmas and then winter break separate allows you to kind of space those out better.
Yeah. I mean, a white Christmas is one of my bucket list things.
I mean, I lived in the
fun.
UK during my formative years, and I think Christmas was certainly more. But it's just because I was younger, I guess. Like Christmas was kind of more magical then, but like it's just because I was younger, probably. I don't know. So there's definitely I got some fond memories of being in the UK.
I work in retail. It's really hard to have a lot of positive feelings about Christmas for a lot of that experience. You see the worst of people for like 3 straight months almost.
What's your favorite color to paint?
Is your favorite color to paint?
I like purple. I think purple's
okay.
One of my favorite colors. And yeah, it's super easy to paint. It's as far as like coverage goes, it's great. One of my favorite models is my ALF HVT, which has a really nice purple to yellow gradient all over him.
Nice.
I really enjoy contrasting purple and green. I have previously had bathrooms that were done up in purple and green towels. So yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say purple and green like
God,
tiles and stuff.
Yeah.
Towels.
I was like,
towels.
fuck me, man.
Yeah. Purple and green towels. No, not tiles. And I avoided it mostly for the hawk. Like Carbon has purple hair, but I tried to paint an army without them, and now like back to Morats and combined, there's going to be
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Purple green. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a fucking dirty skanky slut for Inky by Darkness. It's my favorite color. And painting with it is a fucking dream because it's a base coat. So you put one coat of it on, it's perfect.
Good color.
Oh, love it.
I like black and anything.
Yep.
Black like my heart.
You should get into Inky by Darkness. It's black.
I have Inky by Darkness.
It's the best.
Awesome. It's great.
It's pretty good. Like a teal or petrol color is probably my favorite color. That can be a bit difficult to paint, but I don't think I think it just requires some good layering steps before you go straight into it. Like any light color.
Yeah, it depends how close you go to like the neon side of teal.
Hell yeah.
I might just chop reinforcements out of the next question because we kind of answered it. How would you change resilience ops to get it played more and liked more?
I feel like we have a universal answer for this. It's called read the custom mission pack.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, resilience ops is good. Like, if you are in between tournaments and you've really got like no reason to play a particular mission and you really don't feel like picking one, resilience ops is a really good option. Just play that. I think Tristan, you and I at one point that we were like a big gap between, and we were like, let's just play resilience ops card. That's it.
I think the biggest drawback to resilience ops is the setup time and the complicated setup. So at that point, I would then say refer to the most recent custom mission packet, and OBSCS is A Song of Ice and Firefights because that does a great job at doing resilience ops, but with setup that is streamlined and without the tedious parts of setup.
The other thing is maybe a small rework on some of the environment cards. Some of them feel very unimpactful, and some of them feel probably too impactful. Night fighting comes to mind, where like you reduce the fighting to 32 inches maximum, and it's like some of the terrain.
A CQB.
Yeah, sorry. And then some of the terrain ones are like,
I think night is everything's a low vis zone.
Yeah, like I think it's like everything over a certain very short distance is night fight, which could be interesting at N5 with white noise.
What would I do? I did have an answer for this, but I can't remember what it was. I think if you're going to play it, I think the problem with it is how much setup goes into it. If you're going to play it, build your table with just a bunch of scatter terrain, and then choose the bits of scenery as your objectives. Might be the easiest way to do it, because that's just scatter goes on everything. Just choose a couple of bits of scatter that are inside those things. And,
or just or just do what I've unfortunately adopted to doing is 3D print out some just tokens, some simple shit. Don't take
tokens
models and stuff.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys.
That's it.
That's our last question.
I think we reached the bottom.
I think it's time. I think it's time we pose the audience a question. In that, what would you like to see from Loss of Lieutenant in 2025? Moving forward.
Get in the comments.
We love your feedback.
Discord.
Get in the Discord. Get in the comments. I think we're getting the vibe that more beginner-focused content seems to be what's in demand.
Yeah. I think with the new edition out, a lot of new people coming into the hobby space, I reckon that's a great idea.
Keen as hell to provide it to people.
So if you would like Jordan to create a handy dandy guidebook on how to win Infinity, that would just be a new Patreon tier of like $50 a month, and you'll get your personal coaching from Jordan on how to be a great Infinity player.
Oh god, no! Don't do that. No, please.
Spots are limited to 100. So get in what you can.
Do the Satine Phoenix thing, which is become a life coach for $6,000 a month.
That's it, guys. That's it.
Don't do that to me. Please don't do that to me.
We won't do that to you.
Yeah, if you've got any topics that you specifically would like to cover, let us know. And we will see what we can do with those.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
Fucking broke me with that. Jesus Christ.
No, that's all right. I can log into the Patreon and make it a real deal if you want.
No.
Yeah. we should put a stupid tier on our Patreon.
No, we shouldn't. Because someone might accidentally use it.
Yeah, don't do that.
We don't want that, guys. We don't want that. All right.
Oh god. All right.
I believe we will be announcing the end of this challenge probably soon.
Yeah.
PM. And we'll get a new challenge out as well.
Sounds good.
Something N5 related. Alrighty.
Until then, I've been Nick.
I've been Josh.
Anyone else?
I've been Jacob.
I've been Tristan.
I've been Jordan. We'll see you next time.
See you later, guys.